more men coming alone, which is very interesting. And they're either getting married or they've had a girlfriend or two and not gotten pregnant, and they're coming to see, okay, what's happening? Am I the problem? Without this other party knowing. So, and it's because now information is readily available, but they do come to seek help.
Dr. Ntega, how would you know? I mean, I think we've heard the information coming at us every now and then.
Yeah.
But so actively trying to get pregnant, couple-based, what we're talking about. At what juncture would you say, okay, perhaps it's time to find out what's going on? How long should you have been trying to get pregnant and then it doesn't happen?
So we say that it's age-based because woman's age is really a factor. So if you're under the age of 35 as a woman, we say we'll give you 1 year. Because by 1 year, you should have gotten pregnant if you are in a relationship and having intercourse 2 to 3 times a week with your partner. You should have gotten pregnant, in one of those months. But if you are over the age of 35, we start worrying about your egg quality, and therefore we don't want you to come after 1 year. We want you to come after 6 months, and that's when we start to assess. Sometimes there's nothing wrong, and it's just that you are slower than the average, but it is good to get tested after a year if you're under 35 and after 6 months if you're over 35.
I'm interested to know what is the load, I don't know if that's a better word to use, but if we're looking at Kenya, across board, of those who are dealing with infertility issues and have to now seek intervention to either get pregnant through the different procedures or options and then come for help. Are we seeing that there's an increase? Is it possible that many could have been suffering infertility issues and didn't seek for them? Are we seeing that now with the influx of information, more and more people are seeking solutions?
I think it's twofold, and I'll say it's twofold because as women now, which is the number one factor, I think, is we're waiting. We're waiting until we're 40, we're waiting until we're 45, and then thinking about children. So this is when we come, and that was not happening earlier on. But there are those couples who have been together and didn't know long time ago that you could get help. And now that information is more available, that you can Google search, and people are talking, I think, more about fertility. There is more information and people are coming more. I don't necessarily think the numbers of apart from age is affecting it, but there is a bigger population looking for the solutions. Yeah.
When you mention lifestyle,
yes,
expound a little bit on it and how this impacts on the matters of fertility and infertility.
So lifestyle is big. I mean, I think the sedentary lifestyle is terrible. We are bigger because the new death is sitting, because everyone sits, you get into your car. So fat cells have an aspect of fertility issues. We should be a leaner person is more likely to get pregnant easier than somebody who is obese. So that's one. And it's both male and female. So we do see that sometimes for the female aspect, you just lose a few kilos. I've had patients who lose 5 to 10 kilos, and they'll easily get pregnant just because they were not ovulating as should be because of the hormone fluctuation with the fat cells. And same for men. For men, it does affect, one, the ability to have intercourse sometimes, but also the quality of the sperm. When we talk about toxins, so that's just about weight issues, but when we talk about what we're taking in, the smoking, the excessive alcohol, there's shisha now, there's nicotine pie. I mean, there's everything out there that does kill your fast-growing cells. Sperms are very fast-growing. So sperm cells, hair cells, your skin ages, everything is aging a little bit faster with the toxins that we're putting up in our bodies. We're also not eating right. I mean, we're now commercializing having fast foods as opposed to our fruits and vegetables. And our fruits and vegetables have the antioxidants that our bodies need to fight these toxins. So that's another aspect that's going into our fertility aspect. Yeah.
You said it's big on men, lifestyle, right? What's the bigger one on women? Is it the same? Is it also lifestyle?
I would say yes, it's also lifestyle, but I think women, and lifestyle also women is an aspect of we want careers, we want to go ahead in life, and therefore we forget that there is a balance, and some people want the balance to have a family and some people don't, so I respect everyone. But I do have a lot of couples at 38, 39, I mean a lot of females who come and they say, oh my, I mean, now I want a child. I'd like to start a family. And sometimes it's too late because our egg quality diminishes with age and our egg count also diminishes. So for women, we are born with a certain number of eggs and they waste with every menstrual period. So by the time we are actually 43, the likelihood of success of getting pregnant is about 5%. So that is one of the things that women need to know. And that's the problem that now we're coming in at 40, at 43, at 45.
And that's when you're deciding, I'd like to start.
To start a family, and we do not have now the quality and the numbers that would allow us to have a successful pregnancy.
So when you talk about the balance, then where is the balance? So not 40s.
Yeah.
And then in the 20s, you're still focusing on all these things. So would you say still focus and still think about getting the baby in your 20s?
I think you need to be very clear, especially as a female, because ages are... I mean, for men, there is a factor of age, but it's not... I mean, it's really not as bad as females. You can reproduce at 90. So...
Hey. Stop it.
Giving him a reason to...
I know.
C.T. Abraham.
Yeah.
Noah.
So I think it's deciding what's important for a woman and making that decision early in life, because your partner in life, I mean, if you wait and then we're starting at 40 to look for partners, you won't get it. So I think it's to allow women to understand, yes, you can have their career, but having a family is good. And during Corona was a point when a lot of women came out, a lot of single women, because they're in their house and they're thinking, I'm alone and I have nothing. And if I died right now, there's nobody who would even know, you know. And that's when
my name.
Yes, and it's an important aspect. I think it's one of the most fundamental needs for a lot of people.
Being.
Yeah, for a human being.
Hey, let's take a break. Ndu, please tell her about Showmax.
Okay, so this month, Showmax is saying whatever package you subscribe to your package for as little as 300 shillings. And because it's the month of love and, you know, all those nice, happy, warm feelings, we'll give you another month free. Showmax this month, in a give, your movies, series, documentaries, whatever it is, whatever package you have, buy it. Then they'll give you another month absolutely free.
It's 7:30. Good morning. Happy Friday. We know, yes, there's an issue with our YouTube sound on our YouTube channel. We're sorting that out shortly. Our guest this morning is Dr. Wanjiru Ndegwa. She's a reproductive medicine specialist, founder of the Footsteps to Fertility Center. We are talking about solutions to infertility. And she's telling us doctors don't come on time.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of one. In a give, Real Housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Samakuwa Mocha.
Toast to luxury.
In a give, single Cassie, girl power.
Cheers!
And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby.
Having any fun yet?
Woo! In a give Kupindukia. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of one from only 300 shillings for limited time. In a give Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's the land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
Well, clear conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 15. And it's 15 and sunny in Nakuru, going to highs of 30 and lows of 12. 11 will be the low in a sunny Nyeri at 13, going to highs of 27. And we'll also see highs of 27 in Eldoret, where it is sunny at 14. Mostly sunny at 25 in Mombasa, highs of 32. And we'll see highs of 31 in a sunny Malindi at 27. It's 22 and sunny in Kisumu, 19 and sunny in Kakamega. Looking into Kampala, it's sunny at 22 and it'll go to highs of 29. Dar es Salaam will see highs of 32 and lows of 27. And we will see cloudy conditions through Johannesburg, going to highs of 20 and lows of 16. And it's a hazy morning in Lagos at 25. It'll go to highs of 35 today. And Kinshasa will see highs of 32. It's clear at 21. That'll be today's low.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
All right, we're looking at it heavy on Jogo Road today and then spilling over towards Lusaka and then joining Langata Road, interestingly, then from the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, we're looking at traffic there. Gong Road also starting to be pretty busy. Coming off of Thika Superhighway, just past that Allsops Junction, coming in from Outer Ring, it's busy as well, and we're seeing many lanes on Kiambu Road. Limuru Road is also picking up. We're looking at Western's traffic. Touching on Wayaki Way, not so bad on James Gishoro, so that's a good thing for a change. Looks like Friday might not be too crazy. Keep an eye on things. Let's know what's going on in your neck of the woods and talk to us on SpiceFM KE Twitter.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Conversation continues 26 to 8. Dr. Wanjiru Ndegwa, a fertility specialist, is here with us in the studio. You've told us about, what are the main causes of infertility for both men and women. And of course, you told us there's a 10% that doctors are still not able to tell what could have caused, because everything looks okay, everything checks. And they claim that they are having intercourse and they're not able to conceive. So what do you tell such people then?
Actually, the people who have the best prognosis, because when we can't understand, sometimes it's just time. And therefore, they are the patients who we are very we give the most hope, because if everything is working right, if you do a treatment, you're more likely to have a success, because there's really nothing.
If you do a treatment?
Yes.
What's that?
So if you have a fertility treatment.
What's that?
Oh, so there are different fertility treatments.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about the fertility treatments, the first one that we usually do is like things like weight loss. I've just said that some patients just need a little bit of help figuring out how to lose the weight and have an ovulation, because we see that they're not ovulating because of their weight. Or they have borderline sperm factors, so their sperm are not too bad, so we decide, okay, let's put you on antioxidants or and lose some weight and see what happens. And those type of patients will get pregnant. And then there are the patients who would require us to time when they're ovulating, because they're very erratic cycles. And for those patients, we give them some stimulation to help them ovulate and tell them, okay, this is the optimal time for you to conceive. This is the window, please use this window. And that works for some patients. And then for some patients, those two don't work, and we have to now go into a little bit more medical treatments, like something we call intrauterine insemination or artificial insemination. So this is where probably we have sperm factors that they're not swimming as well as we would want them to swim, and therefore we can assist in that aspect of helping them move faster and reach the target, which is the egg at the time when the lady is ovulating. And for this, that's called an IUI. So that's something that helps mostly for minor male issues, but also for women who are not ovulating at the same time, or for patients who have the unexplained, where we can't find, but we just need a little help.
So what do you do there?
So there we get this, well, the man gives us the sperm, and we're able to concentrate it and give it some action in terms of motility. We're able to help it move faster. And then we're going to insert it into the womb of the woman through the cervical canal at the time of ovulation through a catheter, a small catheter.
So essentially, okay, I've read this actually described as you're creating a pregnancy outside of the womb and then inserting it into the womb.
That's IVF. So this is IUI.
This is IUI.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now they're different. So I had already jumped to IVF. Sorry about that.
Yes.
So now looking at that treatment, would you say now on the scale of things that IVF is at the very end? That is it's when nothing else has worked. Would you then go for IVF, or is it an option that you can use even before considering other things?
It depends on what your problem is. Remember, we are doctors, so we're trying to solve medical problems. And therefore, if a patient came with tubal blockage, so your tubes are blocked, this is a woman, the tubes are very important. It's where fertilization and everything happens. And if they're blocked and we are able to remove the eggs, and that's the IVF process where we give you stimulation drugs, we hyper-ovulate because we want many eggs, we remove all those eggs, we are able to inject one sperm into an egg, and then after that, place the embryo into the womb, and implantation could or could not occur, may or may not occur at that point, then that is IVF.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So that's the difference between IUI and IVF.
When do you make that decision? Upon which, now, because I'm trying to say,
yes,
when would that be the option? Either advised by you as a medical practitioner or even suggested by, patients and saying, can we just go for this? When would you say, okay, this is the solution
this
to
is
go
the solution,
for?
or which solution to go?
Yes.
So like tubal blockage. If the tubes are blocked, we're not going to get pregnant any other way.
There's no other way.
There's no other way. This is the way. If the sperm count is extremely low, there's sperm that we can't even find actually. There are patients who have no sperm on an ejaculate, but we can actually get sperm from the testis. We can actually inject the testis and actually extract sperm. So that patient would have to go for IVF because that's the only solution. Other patients who age factor is a big factor. So if we are 42, we're 41, we're 40, and you have some eggs, I would suggest that because we don't have time. It works.
3% chance.
You have your 5%, and if we have IVF, we still have maybe 10 or 15%. And these other modalities have much lower success rates. So I'm not going to keep you doing things that are not as effective as the most effective if, unfortunately, you could afford it. So there's an affordability issue that we also have to look at. So if a patient has tried other modalities, so like IUI, if you've done it 6 times and it's not worked, then we start thinking, okay, let's move to the next step because this is not working. So there are different ways to assess patients, but I think the most important thing is that it's very individualized.
Right.
Your problem, and I think patients need to know this, is not somebody else's problem, because I have people coming in and saying, you did this for my friend and she got pregnant.
And it worked.
And I'm like, no, we have to assess you individually as a couple and decide what's the best for you.
The focus there is a result.
Yes, it is.
What they're telling you is we saw success, so we also want success.
Apply the same formula.
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the same formula does not apply to everybody.
Let me ask this question.
Yes.
Does stress play any role in this subject of fertility or infertility?
Yes, big role. In fact, I was recently in a conference in India, and they have this whole new aspect of stress relief and treatment before treatments. And I think it's needed. Stress affects our hormones, and our hormones are very important for our reproductive aspect. And therefore, stress is has an interplay with fertility. But it also has an interplay in other areas, even in the act of intercourse. I have had couples who are not able, because it's so stressful that the man is not able to get an erection because he's so stressed. And this is the time they've been told, please, this is your window. Can you use your window? And it's not happening.
Stress over other matters, or stress to actually perform in order for a pregnancy to take place?
Stress in order to perform, because it's like it's our fault. It's not, So this whole process is also very stressful for a couple. Even the whole aspect of, are people looking at, there's still stigma on it.
Right.
So I think it's a good question. If we tried to de-stress, which is very difficult, I think we'd have better success rates.
Question 2. So in your clinic, do you then offer also services for, say, psychotherapy, where people come in and their issue is not that the system isn't working, the system is okay, but the system is being interfered with this little matter of stress?
We advise them to go. We have counselors. We actually had a psychologist. Unfortunately, Kenyans do not want to see other people. A lot of patients will just want to see you. See, it's already a problem.
Yeah, I mean, we've come to you.
I've
Now
come
you're sending
to
us
you.
to a third
Then you're
party.
telling us to go to this person and this person and this person. I mean, I don't want my problem everywhere. I want it to be you who solves the problem, and I don't want even my sister or my whoever to know. So that becomes a problem. And therefore, I think for us, what we do different and what we strive to do is to make it or the journey as comfortable as possible, because it's not always easy.
But you see, what CT was asking is, at your clinic,
yes,
do you have a door just down the hall
yes,
where they can see somebody?
we had somebody who was never seen, and that's what
So
I'm
you'd
trying to
send
explain.
somebody to door 3.
To get some, to talk about it, just to talk about the issues, to reduce the stress. Yes.
You know,
But it doesn't work.
the reason I asked the question
Yes.
is because if you're talking about fertility and infertility in an African setting,
Yes.
this is a very huge subject. It's rooted in our traditions. Whether it is the male or the female, you then bring in the subject of roles and the value system by which you are judged as a male or female African.
Sure.
Because in many African communities, a woman is not a woman unless there's motherhood attached to her womanhood.
Yeah.
A man is
man
man
unless
unless...
he has children.
yes, exactly. So with all the modernity that we have, what I've just mentioned is at the heart of very many things that we do and say. That's why I asked the question of these individuals who are trained to sort of like deconstruct these complex issues and to put you at ease with it. Because if one is at ease because of the knowledge that is provided for them and to them, they are then able to seek appropriate help.
Yes, that is true. And I do think that it's multifactor. I mean, it's multidisciplinary.
Yes.
We need a counselor. We need, and people do other things like acupuncture. I don't think acupuncture helps, even, but it relieves stress. I mean, it does. And so, or talking about it in a group of a small group. So those types of counseling and those kinds of decomposing, decompressing help. But at the heart, it is. I mean, I had someone sit there for 2 years, saw maybe 2 or 3 patients. It's very difficult. And even after a failure, it's very interesting. I will always ask, because now I have somebody who sees couples after a failed IVF cycle or after, because that is really, it's a lot.
Stress.
And most people will say, no, I'm okay.
I'll deal with it.
I'll deal. And so it's something that we need to...
Do you think it's because of that societal pressure? Because of the way we've been socialized? That, like you said, value is attached to your parenthood,
yes.
right? And you see this all the time. Maybe girls are brought up this way, men are brought up this way, boys are brought up this way. You're a man and you don't have children. What's wrong with you? You're a woman, you don't have children. What's wrong with you? You're a woman, you have children. It's your sense of pride. If you look at very many people in their profiles, you ask them, so tell us about you. Who are you? I'm a mother. That's the first thing that they talk about. I'm a mother. I've seen a story today. It's highlighting a politician. And the first question is, tell us about yourself. I'm a mother. And then everything else
follows, yes.
Yeah. So it's a very strong sense of identity. Can we deal with that?
I think the more information and the more we destigmatize, because people don't want to seek other help, not primarily because they don't want somebody else to have a problem. And I'll tell you, when I started my clinic, I tried to have groups of people come together and just talk about their issues. And I'd see people, maybe 3 people would come in. And the reason why is because I might meet my sister or I might meet my cousin. And they might then will know, and
they'll go and tell everybody back
they'll
at
go
home.
and tell everybody at home. I still have patients who sometimes will not want to deliver in a hospital with even my name associated, because they'll say, because people know me or associate me with as a fertility doctor. So they don't want my notes, because if they take it, then someone will know they had a problem.
Wow.
And this must end. It is an illness like any other illness. I mean, we're not afraid. I mean, if I have a flu, I'll go out and say I have a flu. If I can't, or if I'm having a problem having a child, it shouldn't be stigmatized.
There's something I want to say, but I'm going to tread carefully here.
Okay.
Very gingerly, okay? If there is a problem with someone going to another door, okay? What you have is called a specialty, or is it a subspecialty?
It's a subspecialty.
Okay. But you started by being a doctor.
Yes.
When you were training to be a doctor, how many units of counseling or psychology did you have? You don't have to know the number, but you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
I am simply saying this. Since you're the person whom the patients see,
Yes.
would one not then consider that this person whom the patient trusts has some training in psychology? So this very service that is clearly needed but you don't have, would it not serve your interest for you to acquire those skills so that you know full well there's somebody who knows more, but you have the foundational understanding of this and you can actually get this person to do what that other person could do, not in totality, but you could lead them along the way. Don't you think that perhaps this might be a consideration?
No, we do. I've done psychology.
Good.
Yes.
How many of you have done psychology?
I can't speak for my colleagues, but
that's why I
have done
started off with
psychology.
the training.
Yeah.
Because if you've done psychology,
Yeah.
then you're far better placed to handle these matters.
Yeah, but it's psychology and just understanding the patient. You know, when a couple comes in and they're crying or they're so timid and fearful, I mean, you can already understand and see the stress. So you take a seat back, and we are not discussing fertility. We're discussing sometimes other things just to break the ice. So I don't feel that it is training. I think it's, and I'll say this with caution, as you said, it's a bit about passion and wanting the best for the people who come, and sometimes and not commercializing or just being a doctor. And I remember my late dad told me the one thing you will not do is have a patient in front of you and already be writing a prescription, which is what he would say. You'd come and the doctor doesn't even, he's already writing a prescription and giving it to you. That you can't do that for fertility. So.
You know, I mentioned this. I remember I worked in the field of HIV and AIDS for a long time. And while in those early days people were still being trained, NASCOP and KNH would offer this training for people in that field. In the years I went for these many trainings that were offered, I encountered 3 medical doctors. 2 of them were psychiatrists. I encountered more nurses than I could count on my fingers and on my toes. I encountered clinicians. What I'm trying to say is, when you are dealing with something that has a massive amount of stigma attached to it, there is a certain body of knowledge that is useful for someone to have. Because, yes, there are things you can understand easily, but that body of knowledge simply equips you better to deal with it.
True.
Because if you ask a child who is born in a setup like ours, I remember nephews and nieces at a younger age. Uncle, you're feeling unwell. They will put their hand on my forehead and tell, no, it's not hot enough. Meaning, they've already figured that syndromically, someone can look at you and say,
you're not feeling well.
Oh, you're looking stressed.
Yeah.
Now, I think you get the gist of what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because something this sensitive, something that people are burdened with and yet cannot unburden themselves with, requires that delicate, knowledgeable way of dealing with it. Otherwise, a lot of people who could receive help will not receive the help that they actually need.
Yes. I do. I mean, I think it's the way you treat people. I mean, and that is a fundamental human. If you don't treat people right, they will move on to the next or just stop the treatment at all. And it's a very delicate balance in our practice because you want to give hope, but sometimes, unfortunately, there's no hope to give. So you also have to be very sensitive about how you give that information.
How you package the truth.
Yes, how you package the truth. But you must also be honest because I have seen desperate couples coming and saying, I'm so desperate. And I tell them, no, never say that. There's nothing like desperation here because you will be cheated. Unfortunately, in and this anybody will tell you anything. We have quacks selling herbs that will unblock tubes.
Sure, so
work. you have to be honest, but in a gentle and manner. Yeah.
There's a specific question here.
Yeah.
A lady who's gone through 2 IVF cycles and has now been told that her womb is a hostile environment. What would she then be advised to do? I mean, it's a direct question.
Yes, I know where you're going. Yeah. So, hostile is relative, and there are modalities that we do use to make implantation more successful. So there are medications, but we need to know the cause. So some patients have antibodies that react against the little embryo, and therefore there are medications that we can give to avert that. However, I know you're going into surrogacy, and I know that's the question that you're asking. And I do think that surrogacy is a wonderful gift for patients who would not be able to carry their own. There are patients who have had a myomectomy that ended up in removal. Myomectomy is fibroid surgery that ended up into removal of the womb. But I have my eggs. My husband has his sperm. We have 1 child or 2 children. We want a third, or we didn't have children and we want a child now. I can't carry because I don't have a womb. So what happens next? Do we get a surrogate to carry? I mean, now they're technology is moving into artificial wombs a bit, but there are options, and I do think that in the right context.
Are those legal options in Kenya?
We have no laws in Kenya. That's the unfortunate bit. We have no laws. We are trying to get them. I think they were brought up last week or something in Parliament to try and
So we have no law allowing or disallowing surrogacy?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's a very grey area, and therefore we do need laws.
But the law recognizes mother as the one who gave birth?
Who gives birth, yes.
Okay. So anything else would be adoption?
Yes, it would be adoption.
So we can say indirectly the law does not recognize surrogacy?
It allows you to adopt your child as of now, yes. But there are ways that we are finding allowing you to, if you do a DNA, we are allowed, I mean, the adoption certificate can change into a birth certificate right now. Yeah, so there are laws, and there are some patients who have already undergone that to have a birth certificate in their name as opposed to an adoption certificate.
As opposed to an adoption.
Yeah.
It becomes commercial. So let's start with the lower hanging commercial conversation.
Yeah.
I've heard it being said that these treatments that you offer are not affordable to many.
Yes.
Starting from IUI to IVF is it true?
They are costly. They are costly. And I want to say they're costly because of the technology, because we have to import each and every single thing. And that's why patients go to India a lot, because India manufacture. I mean, so yes, they are costly. IUI probably will cost within the range of 50 to 100,000 per cycle. An IVF will probably cost between 400 to 600 per cycle. Yes, 100,000. So it is costly. It is unreachable for a lot of patients. That is the truth. Yeah.
What's the way out?
That's a good question, because we've really tried. I mean, I'm at the forefront. I'm a treasurer of the Fertility Andrology Society of Kenya. I wish we could get to a point where we can manufacture or what we have. I mean, if I'm buying a small cannula that costs 15,000 and in India it costs 2,000, there is a problem. I mean, so if we could get to that.
Is it duty? Is it taxes?
The taxes as well. Taxes and I think India, because of the sheer number they have lesser margins. But if we got to that point where we were able to subsidize either through government, but I don't say that because we've been trying for the longest. We do, a colleague of mine they are trying to get a public facility in Kenyatta National Hospital, and I really hope that comes and is, but the things will still be expensive. So I don't think even in a public setting we will be able to have a cycle for less than 300,000 for IVF. I don't. Right. And that's meaning we're not paying doctors and not.
Maybe there'll be procurement across all public facilities, and that then brings in the economies of scale.
Why it wouldn't be possible to have it across all facilities is because the initial investment for an IVF center is actually quite huge. Okay. So, and the manpower, we don't have enough specialists. I think we're 4 or 5 board certified fertility specialists. Yeah, we're 4. 5. I think now 5 board certified, and maybe 5 others. We're very few. Embryologist is the person in the lab who puts. We have how many Kenyans? Probably 1 or 2 Kenyans who are trained in that and can do. So it's really, we don't have the manpower, to be honest. Also,
wow,
we don't.
Okay.
The thing here is that you're dealing with spending so much money. I mean, you're talking of upwards of 500,000 shillings for something that you're not sure of. Isn't that for you as a specialist, for you as a practitioner? Here you are offering a solution. Folks are going to spend this kind of money on it, and you're not even able to guarantee that it will work. Is that not difficult for you?
It's very difficult, but I think the one thing that I try to do in my practice is I inform the patient of their chance of success. Because you will not get a 45-year-old woman and then I'm telling you, you are going to get pregnant. That's a lie, because your egg quality is poor. I mean, I wouldn't even do IVF on you, to be honest, because it's not going to work. So I think, and that's where we need to be honest as fertility specialists, because, I mean, if you have a young lady who has only tubal blockage, her chance of success is 70%. So that is a patient you would encourage to even do 2nd and 3rd cycle if it didn't work, because and I tell people, we're not God, we don't create. And that's the thing that people say, IVF is creating babies. We don't create. You can put a perfect embryo on a perfect uterus, because implantation, we just put it through a cannula. We don't have anything that will help it stick or whatever. But if it doesn't stick, there's nothing I can do about it. All we can do is do our best in terms of getting a proper diagnosis for you, choosing the right treatment plan and protocols and medication to give you, and technically be sound in our skill. But other than that, babies come from above. I mean, so
that's it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So prayers are important as well.
Oh, they're number one. There's nothing without prayer.
Dr. Wanjiru Ndegwa, thank you very much for joining us. There's a question that I want to ask. It's a yes or no. Are sperms sold in Kenya? Someone has asked that on YouTube.
Yes, they are. Not sold. They are donated.
Donated.
Yes. They're donated,
For
not
a fee?
sold.
For a token.
For a token and for a freezing fee for the upkeep of them.
Okay.
Yep.
There is your answer. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Dr. Wanjiru Ndegwa is a reproductive medicine specialist. She founded and now runs the Footsteps to Fertility Center. We've been talking about providing a solution to infertility. Keep it here for more conversations. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newsroom. I'm Dennis Aseto. 3 institutions have nominated 4 persons to the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission selection panel in readiness for a formal appointment expected next week. The political parties liaison committee that brings together over 80 political parties has settled on its chairperson, James Misati, who hails from the Progressive Party of Kenya. The Law Society of Kenya has picked Advocate Benson Ngugi Nyeri of Igeria and Ngugi Advocates. The Interreligious Council of Kenya has elected 2 representatives from Christian and Muslim community. The 2 are Reverend Nelson Makanda, the General Secretary of the Evangelical Society of Kenya, and Fatuma Saman of the National Muslim Leaders Forum. The Public Service Commission is expected to submit 1 name to the panel, while the Parliamentary Service Commission is expected to pick 2 nominees. The understanding had been that the 2 parliamentary nominees would be shared between the majority and minority parties in Parliament. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party has, however, distanced itself from the IEBC selection process, with the minority House leadership indicating that they won't be contributing a name. And Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition senators are now threatening to impeach Senate Speaker Amason Kingi for allegedly frustrating leadership changes being effected by the party. The senators caused drama in the House as they accused Speaker Kingi of favoritism and demanded that he communicates the leadership changes. The changes Azimio had met the minority leadership included ousting Fatma Dulo from her position as minority whip and replacing her with Olekina, with Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna set to deputize him.
The Speaker has been kind of dodgy and he has refused to communicate to the House with regards to our communication.
Na alipoulizwa na maseneta wa upinzani alisema kwamba bado anaangalia atafanya uamuzi wa kisawasawa baadaye. Swala lililoko mbele yake halina uamuzi.
The Speaker is simply a conveyor because he's not supposed to investigate anything.
Senator Dulo has already left Azimio and she should in fact resign and seek fresh mandate from the people of Isiolo. There is no way she's going to force herself to be our whip.
Now, the National Treasury is expected to table a 3.6 trillion draft budget for the 2023-2024 financial year. According to the draft budget policy statement, the government plans to spend 2.5 trillion shillings on recurrent expenses and 769.3 billion shillings on development. According to National Treasury and Economic Planning Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndungu, the budget will deliver an economic turnaround and inclusive growth going forward. The draft budget for the financial year starting July will increase by 251 billion shillings from the current 3.39 trillion shillings. SACCOs, startups and groups could soon be able to borrow affordable credit of up to 2.5 million shillings through a new hustler fund dubbed microcredit. Cooperatives and MSMEs Development Cabinet Secretary Simon Chilugui says the bigger loan facility is expected to help cooperative societies improve access to credit and nurture the culture savings among Kenyans. This comes as Chilugui announces the doubling of loan limit of borrowers on Financial Inclusion Fund, which since launched 2.5 months ago has had 18.8 million subscribers. With the doubling of borrowing limit, those who had 3,000 shillings limit will now get 6,000, while those getting 5,000 will get 10,000. According to Chelugui, the Hustler Fund will be reviewed every 4 months, where individuals will be rated according to their repayment history. And detectives investigating the mysterious murder of Lilian Waidera, member of staff at the National Hospital Insurance Fund, have ruled out the possibility that she was accidentally or coincidentally shot. Detectives are trying to establish the motive of her killing by an assassin along the busy Kaunda Street within Nairobi Central Business District in broad daylight. Ballistic and forensic experts visited the scene of crime as they tried to figure out the building where the assassin fired the fatal shot. The experts moved to upper floors of buildings next to where the NHIF staffer was assassinated while interrogating tenants. According to police reports, Waidera was shot from an elevated angle with the bullet penetrating her body through the collarbone before stopping in the lungs. She died 5 minutes after the shooting. Investigators have ruled out the possibility that she was accidentally or coincidentally shot, with the preliminary investigation indicating that Waidera was the target. At the same time, a shooting at around 5 p.m. Monday, Waidera was walking close with her work colleagues, having left her workplace in Upper Hill. What the detectives are now trying to unravel is who wanted her dead and the motive of the assassination. Members of Waidera's family said she did not appear to be worried, or didn't she speak of threats to her life on the particular day or before. Wednesday, NHIF, where Waidera had worked for over 15 years, cautioned Kenyans against speculating about the mysterious death of its staff member. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
One 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, it's heavy on the Thika Superhighway. It's coming into the city, and we're likely to see this for some time. And there it is on, what's this place called? Langata Road, touching then on Raila Odinga Way a little bit here and there. The Thika Superhighway is actually not so bad. I know that question came in. Kiambu Road also, reducing in traffic. We have still some coming off Limuru Road. So this is where traffic is this Friday morning. Hopefully will not be too crazy, but let's keep an eye on things. And then let's talk on SpiceFM, KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 8. Good morning and welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room, 17th day of February 2023. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. The number that I'd like you to have in mind all the time is 0740 400 215. 0740 400 215. If you're thinking of investing in a home in Vipingo, very beautiful estate being developed by Vipingo Development. This is a subsidiary of Centum Real Estate. It's Centum Real Estate, actually. They're doing the Vipingo development in Vipingo, Kilifi County. Good homes, studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. You can take it for your own holiday home. You can take it to rent out. You can take it to live there. There are very many people who are already living in the phase one. Phase one was 500 houses, completed, handed over to their owners, and there are people who are already living there. Now, it's phase two that we're talking about, and Vipingo are saying, come, talk to us, and we will walk the journey of home ownership with you. All you need to do is pay a 10% down payment. That's from as low as 198,000 shillings, and then we talk about the other installments. Affordable and easy. Vipingo Development by Centum Real Estate. Hey, Madam.
Yes.
Showmax.com.
In a give. Do you know that?
In a give.
So what package are you on for Showmax? That package that you're on that you're about to pay for this weekend, if you do it, they'll give you another month for free. 1 whole month. The package, not that, because, no, the whole thing. So if you're paying 300 shillings, which is, that's where you start from, for your favorite TV shows, all of this, they're going to give you another month free. Showmax in a give.
Kabisa in a give. The next conversation we want to have is with a financial services expert. We want to understand this new NHIF rates. What do they mean? What do they mean for employees? What do they mean for employers? Many of you are employers, all right? And you pay your staff salaries. So as you pay salaries, from the end of this month, the employer is also expected to contribute more for each staff. How much more? And what are the scales? And why? And what does that mean for you? For you as an employee, you also contribute more towards your own retirement benefit through NSSF. What does that mean? How much? Why does it begin now? When did this conversation begin? Are we just finding out now about a conversation that's been taking place for a while? Davis Ongiro is joining us for that conversation. Davis is a financial services expert. We want to welcome him with the day's proverb from Zambia.
Yes, this actually is our final proverb from the country of Zambia. Bam. If you do not have teeth, do not break the clay cooking pot.
If you do not have teeth, do not break the clay cooking pot.
Yes.
Keyword here, clay cooking pot.
Yes, a specific pot that is used specifically for cooking. Yes.
And once you break in the clay cooking pot, it means
whatever
the
food
chances
was supposed to be cooked in
of
that
mending
pot. Yes, there'll now be issues.
Yeah. Davis Ongiro, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, and good morning once again.
This proverb is from Zambia. When you hear it, does it ring a bell? Do you relate?
It it does, because I think once Charles was speaking, I remember the last time I was in Lusaka, so I'm very quickly relating. But we are talking about also how to deal with the problems today and how you are tying them to the future. You have to find a way that whatever you are doing, and including the discussion we're having today, that you do not, everything has to be tied. So if you break your pot today, what are you going to use tomorrow? You must be able to create a balance always on whatever you are doing, especially tying that to the future.
Your actions today
matter a lot.
They matter a lot for tomorrow. Okay. You're being deducted today because it should matter a lot for your tomorrow in retirement. Let's have this conversation about NSSF rates. So first of all, just to clear the air, what is this story about the NSSF rates from end of this month and all?
Eric, you know what happened, or what is currently happening before this February is you have been contributing 200 shillings every month to NSSF. The employer also matches that exact amount.
Yes.
If you calculate that is 400 shillings per month, multiply by 12 months, that is 4,800 shillings. Even if you saved for 20 or 10, 20 years, that is around 4,800 times 10 years is 48,000. 20 years is 96,000. If you go for 30 years, it's somewhere around 130, 140. Even if you saved, including income that is earned by NSSF, by the time you retire, if you worked for 30 years, you will never have more than 200,000 shillings. What that means, we are having a problem of people retiring, having worked for a very long time, but when you get to retirement, you become a beggar. Because you remember, children are not a retirement plan anymore. You must be able to be sufficiently prepared enough so that when you get to retirement, you are the one. I think we are used to having parents sending parents to our money every other time. My mom calls, you need my cham, I have not paid money and all that. We need to get to a point where our retirees, when they get to retirement, they have sufficient income. They are the ones calling you, asking you, hi, Eric, are you okay in town? Have you paid your rent? Can I send you some 30,000? Instead of it being on the reverse. So the industry tried to think, how do we improve on this something called income replacement ratio? So that when you retire, Eric, it is expected by research, and this was a research done by the stakeholders and the Retirement Benefits Authority a few years ago, you need to ensure that you replace at least 75% of your income. So if you're earning 100,000 Kenyan shillings, you need at least 75,000 for you to live fairly comfortable in retirement. If you can be able to go to 80, 85, the better for you. But most of us currently, where we are at 40%. So that means if you are earning 100,000, you end up with 40,000 Kenyan shillings.
David, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, if I got you right, 100, let's say 100,000 shillings you're earning. What I hear you saying is that in order for you to live in retirement, you need 75% of that on a monthly basis, the way you were earning 100,000. So what you're saying is have 75,000 for your months of retirement for the rest of your life. Okay.
To maintain that lifestyle.
To maintain
that type of lifestyle, correct. Yeah.
So that you don't have the situation whereby you're now calling Davis in the
burden.
city. You called it a beggar. Okay, now how is this supposed to happen?
So how it's supposed to happen, one is that you need to start saving enough now. So that is what the government was trying to do. They are looking at 200 shillings per month is not really able to get you sufficient income when you get to retirement. So what they are trying to do is, how do we increase that type of contribution rate so that by the time you get to retirement, somebody fairly can be able to afford a monthly pension that is a bit sufficient. So that is why the discussion on the increasing of contribution rates to 6% began from. I think this is a discussion that began in early 2000, but the act came to enactment in 2013, and thereafter it's been here and back in terms of court. One major issue has been that our constitution provides for public participation. That was not, I think, done, arguably. But the Court of Appeal came and said, no, the lower court did not have jurisdiction even to hear this case in the first case. So it should be able to proceed to where it should proceed. So If you ask me, it is a good thing that we're having this discussion in increasing the rate of on the amount that we are contributing per month.
Okay.
And we need to go back and tell our people that we need to, it's for retirement.
Yes.
I have seen when you go to the village, I come from a village where you go find old wazes, those who are 70 years and above, the social protection, I think they must be given 2,000 shillings per month. You
Wow.
find very frail wazes lining up in
They're
a
waiting
bank,
for that money.
waiting for 2,000 shillings. If I gave you, Eric, 2,000 shillings, you cannot be able to meet your needs here in Nairobi for a single day. But that is the amount of money that is being given to our old people there.
Can I go back to this calculation that you did?
Yes.
Before you, so you told we ended up with this 400 shillings per month. We ended up at this retirement, let's say after 20 years, what you would have accumulated comes to about 200,000 shillings. So essentially, we are saying with this 2,000 now, that right?
Yes.
2,000 and then matched by your employer, another 2,000, 4,000 shillings per month. That will come to
a factor of 10.
Factor of 10, exactly.
Yes.
So now you're looking at
2 million.
2 million shillings. Is that adequate now, in your opinion, to now be able to sort out these years of
You know the Eric, when you do the actuarial
this is Eric. I'm Ndu.
Yeah. When you do what we call actuarial computations in terms of income replacement that are 2 million Kenyan shillings can be able to purchase for you, it will give you about 20,000 Kenyan shillings per month. For a retiree, 20,000 shillings per month is a lot of money. Especially assuming that all other factors kept constant. You do not have children who are going to grade 1 when you are age 65. When you have a medical cover, so that you do not have to be fundraising every other time. That 20,000 is a lot of money for a retiree. Most of them even relocate to go work from the village. So when you give them 20,000, 2 million can be able to give you 20,000 Kenyan shillings. What the law has done, the Act of 2013, it has come and said that the first year you will contribute 1080 shillings as an employee, 1080 as an employer. That they are basing on what we call lower earning limit. The lower earning limit in 2013 was 6,000 Kenyan shillings for the lowest earning category of people. 6,000
Who are
shillings.
employed in which sector?
In on average, whether it is your house girl, your shamba boy, the lowest cadre used to be paid 6,000. I think that has
in the urban or in the rural areas.
Well, they have given different rates for urban. For Mombasa a certain rate, for Kisumu a certain rate, for different areas a different rate. But what they have said, for purpose of uniformity, the lower earning limit standard that will be used is 6,000 shillings. And then the upper earning limit is 18,000 shillings. So even if you are earning 1 million, your pensionable salary as per the NSSF Act will be based on the lower earning limit and the upper earning limit. For the first year, the upper earning limit is 18,000 shillings. So as we go, the upper earning limit keeps changing and the lower earning limit keeps changing by increasing. So as we get to the 5th year, the upper earning limit will be based on 4 times the national average salary. So in 2013, the national average was 36,000. Currently, I think must be around 45,000. So whatever you'll be contributing the 5th year will be a factor of that 4 times the national average. So it will get to a point where we are really contributing a lot of money.
So it will not be 2,000 at the fixed?
No. It will keep increasing every year. It will keep increasing. Okay. Like now you are doing 1440. That is what we call tier 1. Tier 1 is 360. Tier 2 is 720. You add 360 plus 720, that is what is forms 1080. And then now in year 2, that 360 will move to 420. And the other one will move about to 1740. So we continue that way now. The discussion keeps changing now. We move from a point where we are at 0% to somewhere around a good number in terms of those people who are accessing better life in retirement.
This whole thing is only looking at one pot where you're saving for your retirement. And this is the NSSF. But the law allows for you to have other pots where you're saving for retirement. Why is it not looking at all of them and saying, as long as you are your full pension deductible is X, you're fine. Why only factor in this state one, NSSF, and not the other pension schemes?
In fact, Eric, what has happened, the Act actually provides for these other schemes.
Yes.
So, Tier 1, you must always take it to NSSF.
Okay.
You must always take it to NSSF. Tier 2, you have been told you can either take it to NSSF or take it to a private pension scheme. Most people will prefer to take the Tier 1, which is the minimum, to NSSF. Tier 2, they take to a private pension scheme where they know maybe there are better competitive returns, good governance, and the element of accessibility and technological advancement and all that and convenience compared to the challenges that might befall on NSSF. Historically, we could get a few challenges here and there, but they have provided. So you'll find, Eric, when you take money to a private pension scheme, the return is about on average 10%. You need to get to a point where when making the decision whether you are Tier 2, you should take it to a private pension scheme or to an NSSF, you ask yourself, what is the return on investment? If I want to retire, how soon does NSSF process my retirement? How soon does that money hit my account? And all that. So there are so many good things that have been done. So one thing that we are lucky is that the Tier 2 is not a must to take it to NSSF. The other good thing that I like about this discussion is that what they are saying, if you contribute, the normal retirement age is 50. No, the early retirement is 50. The normal retirement age is 60. If you contribute less than 36 months, when you are getting to retirement, they will pay you the total of Tier 1 contributions and Tier 2 contributions plus the income accrued. But if you contributed for more than 36 months, then the law requires that they must give you a monthly pension for as long as you are alive. So if you look at it also, you might only manage to do maybe savings for, let's say, like 5 years or 6 years, but it helps a way to ensure that at least we address the issue of also a monthly income.
And that monthly income will not be dependent on the number of years you contributed.
Yes, and the amount you have already contributed.
And the amount you've contributed.
Yes.
It will be a fixed income.
Yes.
Irregardless of how much you contributed.
So what happens is when you get to retirement, they will calculate how much total you have. The current NSSF fund is a provident fund. What that means is when you get to retirement, you will be paid the full lump sum. And then the new fund will be a pension scheme. Pension scheme means when you get to retirement, you are only paid a third as lump sum. 2/3 you must purchase a monthly pension, which is called, you can go either for an annuity or an income drawdown. So most of us, actually the thing is you must go to the insurance company, pick an insurance company that gives you a quote, go to NSSF and tell them that I've picked on this insurance company, now send the money, so I start receiving a monthly income from there. So it has addressed, so people is not forced to ensure that they take the full amount. In fact, when you calculate Tier 1 and Tier 2, Tier 1 is the lowest.
What is Tier 1 and Tier 2?
So, if I give that example again, the lower Tier 1 is calculated using the lower earning limit. In 2013, the lower earning limit was 6,000 shillings. So 6% of that is 360 employee, 360 employer.
Okay.
That is called Tier 1.
In 2013, when this law was actually being passed,
yes,
it was saying 360 employee, 360 employer.
Yes.
Tier 1.
Yes. That we must take to NSSF.
That must go to NSSF.
Yes. So what that means, it's an increase of 160 shillings on top
from
of
the current 200.
From the current 200 shillings.
Okay.
And then now they are saying the 6% will not be based on your current salary. It will be based on another limit, so that if you're earning 100,000, the 6% is not entirely on the 100,000. It is a section of that 100,000. So they introduced something called upper earning limit. So the upper earning limit on the first year is 50% of the national average salary. So 50% in 2013, the national average was 36,000. So the 50% of that is 18,000. So that is what, for the first year of implementation, 18,000 is the upper earning limit. So I come to the 18,000 again, I calculate 6%. That becomes 1080. Employee and employer 1080. Remember, you already did a 6% also on Tier 1.
Yes.
On Tier 1. Yes. So you reduce 1080 to the 360. You remain with 720. 720.
Yes.
So this 720 is what will be called tier 2.
Okay. And this tier 2 can either go to NSSF
yes.
or to your
a private pension scheme. Yes.
It's your choice.
It is your choice.
Your choice and your employer.
Yes.
Okay.
And this scheme is supposed to work in Kenya?
Yes, it is supposed to work in Kenya.
Okay.
When?
It is immediate from this month's payroll. When you get your deductions from this month, you expect that to be less by the amount that is being introduced to your payslip.
Okay. What's the percentage of Kenyans who are in permanent or what you call full-time jobs?
I can confirm that, and even that is a very valid question, because even out of all that big number that is in full-time jobs, only 20% have been saving for retirement. So
the number isn't that big. It was small and it dropped even further with COVID.
Yes.
Because if you look at the reports in the papers, in 2022, we're talking about 10 to 9% of Kenyans in full-time jobs. Many, the bulk of our population is in the rural areas, which means they are subsistence farmers. Now, with the vagaries of drought and the social systems that we have, where bread earners support very large families or very large numbers of people, a scheme like this becomes more of a fairy tale than a reality that can be achieved. Because if you look at whatever people earn and what the demands on that money is, unless that saving is forced, meaning by the time you are being paid, it has already been taken. Do you really think that this is a scheme that is attainable? That people can actually save, given what they earn and given the obligations that they have? Is it really, whether it is school fees, whether it is medical services? In countries where these things are possible, these things are taken care of. As a citizen, you do not have to worry about it at all. Children will go to school, medical services will be provided. So the culture of saving is something you can actually entertain. But in this country, given our country, our population, our situation, how tenable is it?
Fortunately or unfortunately, one of the requirements in the law is that if you have more than one employee, so whether it is a house girl or a houseboy, you must be able to register for NSSF, and you must ensure that those monthly deductions go there.
If you have more than one employee.
More than one employee. So every month you must, whether it's a shamba boy, is a house girl, you must ensure that you remit their contributions to NSSF. What they have introduced is that for people who are in private sector, there is something called a private voluntary savings. So you do not have to do the 6%, just do the 500 shillings per month. The challenge is you are even going very far in terms of sufficiency, in terms of comparing with the needs that members have, the populace have, compared to what we are supposed to save. If you do even the calculations yourself, even somebody who is earning 30,000 or let's say even 50,000, in year 5, the substantial amount of that will be going into retirement. So let's give an example of somebody in year 3 when the pensionable salary will be 36,000 times 3, that will be 108,000. When it is 108, the person earning 50,000, you'll calculate 6% of that. So that is 3,000 employee and 3,000 employer. That 3,000, if you keep going that way, at some point there will come a time where this member is even saving almost 5,000 shillings to NSSF. So you look at it, leave alone the people in the village who are really struggling to make ends meet. Even there is a time that these people in town will also have a problem in terms of how much they can be able to really push in terms of deductions from their payslip. But there are also so many ways to look at it. One of them is that saving is a good thing. We have to be forced, and you realize if I said today I'm paying you 100,000 Kenyan shillings.
Why must it be forced? You said it has to be forced. Why?
The reason why it's a culture issue. We are. If I gave you 100,000 shillings right now, I tell you as from today, Charles, when I give you 100,000 Kenyan shillings, I'll pay you the gross figure into your account. Now you take out pay NSSF, pay NHIF, pay your loans obligations and all that. Most of us will be arrested, will be in cells every single day. Why this is being done is that you are it is helping yourself against yourself at some point.
So
we have
essentially,
to
adults in this country are being treated as children who cannot manage their affairs, and you need someone to superintend.
But City, you are the one who had actually even gone ahead with this one and said, unless you force people, do you see this?
I got it. I got it. I am now looking at this forced saving, and I am looking at, let's take a reality check. One of the biggest employers in this country are the public universities. Okay? One of the problems that they have had for the longest time is, making sure that those statutory deductions are deducted from the employees, but it is not remitted.
Correct.
Okay? Meaning they deduct it, but they use it for whatever else. Meaning these are government institutions that already have a problem with simply managing their affairs because of the money. Government.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, I am simply trying to extrapolate this and look at it and looking at the individuals. That's why I premised my discussion on the number of people.
Okay.
The saving culture is necessary. It is a good thing. It is a wonderful thing. Some of these countries we talk of, who are able to do the things they do, have a serious saving culture. But what is it that makes that saving culture possible? Because right now, even people and communities where people had a saving culture, it's become impossible to save, even if you want to.
I think you are very right. The challenges we have, of course, one is the earning the how do I want to call it, the earning power of an individual, and how much are they able? Should they put food first on the table, or should they put money to NSSF for saving for retirement? That becomes a hard question to deal with. But I think there are things also that we need to have entrenched in our curriculum. I normally think so. When I get to 30, when I'm getting my first job, that is when somebody just appears from nowhere and tells me, "Oh, Davis, you need to have started saving. You need to do this. You need to do that." I wish somebody came when I was 10, 15 years and tell me, "Davis, before you earn money, you need to start saving. There are these ways you can be able to save money."
Yeah.
That is why we have people now think that you can have quick solutions, get quick, rich solutions for especially for the young people. So I think much as the challenges regarding the economy and the power of people earning enough so as to save enough, there are issues also that include culture, include our education, that needs to be integrated so that it's a 360 degree, that when you are talking about saving, somebody really appreciates. I do not have money today, but if I get money, I will put money here. So we need to put that, handle it from the other side, because you realize the way you are putting it, you enforce it on people. So there are so many people who don't even understand this NSSF. They actually think it's another tax you are taking from them to do other things again
that you are deducting.
Most of them don't know that this is actually a saving for them. So there is a lot of discussion that needs to go around.
Every deduction in this country is a tax.
Is a tax. Until somebody was saying that now I think what we do, let us give government all the money, let them return to us what they want, because almost everything we are paying is almost getting to tax. Yeah.
Let's take a break. 26 minutes to 9. Our guest is Davis Ngiro. Davis is a financial services expert. He's a general manager for marketing at a company called Octagon Africa. We are talking about the new NSSF rates, what they mean for employers, what they mean for employees. What is this new scheme? It's basically just getting to understand, yes, there's a law that was passed in 2013. It's been up and down the courts for a long time. The courts have now cleared the way. The deductions are beginning end of this month. What's that? What does it mean for you? We'll be back shortly after we take a look at the weather and traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of one. In a give, Real Housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Sama kuamoka.
Toast to luxury.
In a give, single Cassie, girl power.
Cheers!
And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby. In a give kupindukia. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of one from only 300 shillings for limited time. In a give Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
City. Do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small
Mtu
mammal,
atamshinda.
big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda. I mean, I don't understand. What are they
How
saying?
are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What
or
are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So
See?
Your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me. 19 and sunny conditions in Nairobi, highs of 28 and lows of 15 today. It'll go to highs of 29 in Nakuru, where it's sunny at 18. It's 17 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 27 as well in Eldoret, where the sun is up at 18. Partly sunny conditions at 27 in Mombasa, going to highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 31 in Malindi, where it's mostly sunny at 27. It's 24 and sunny in Kisumu. It'll go to highs of 32, and Kakamega, we'll see highs of 31 in sunny conditions, where it's 25 at the moment. 23 and sunny in Kampala, highs of 28, and looking into a sunny Dar es Salaam, it'll go to highs of 32 and lows of 27. Mostly cloudy conditions at 17 in Johannesburg, highs of 20, and we'll see highs of 35 in an hour. Hazy Lagos at 24. It's 24 and sunny in Kinshasa, we'll see highs of 32 and lows of 23.
Spice up your life.
Okay, so still busy on Jogo Road. We're also looking at Lunga Lunga, quite heavy in and outbound. Langata Road started to do the busy thing this morning, and it's also connecting with Rilo Dinga Way. Going out towards the City Mortuary roundabout, so it'll connect with a little bit of traffic that's coming off Gong Road, but nothing too dizzying. We're looking at traffic having reduced significantly on the Thika Superhighway, just past the Utali Drift, then joining at Muthaiga Square from traffic coming in from Kiambu Road. Is the most that we'll see. Limuru Road not looking too poorly today, coming out of Kitisuru, and then also joining from United Nations Avenue. Looks like a little bit of busyness, but not too bad. Let's talk on SpiceFM. KE on Twitter. Circle back in about half hour and see what's going on.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
We continue talking about pension.
Davis, today, of the retirees who had saved for the last however many years that they needed to, do we see regular payment of their dues, apart from the lump sum idea? Are we seeing that they are paid and, without any problem?
I think, Nduiza, it's good to acknowledge that there are challenges in this industry, especially there are arguments that when retirees go to NSSF, they'll have challenges. They have had challenges accessing their benefits. But remember, there is a law.
Sorry. What does that mean, that they have challenges? You go to the office, you wait for your account to be credited at the end of a 30-day period, as should be. You go for the lump sum, you don't get it. When you say challenges, what does that mean?
I mean, nowadays, I don't know whether all of us must be doing mobile banking. If you ask me, the banks have trusted to put money. You can be able to access money from your phone. But we in the pensions industry, you find that still it is paperwork. You have to go line up and sign some paperwork and all that, which if you asked me, it should be a thing of the past. You should be able to dial star something hash. And click access retirement benefits.
For January 2023.
Yes. And then when you access, you first should be able to see a statement.
Yes.
And then you should also be able to give instructions through the USSD that please pay my money to a certain account. But you will find that I think the bureaucracy around government institutions, you will be called, you must be able to come to the office, you must be able to sign this, you need to do all this. We need to get to a point where we make we revolutionize the retirement benefits industry. Everything must be done online. So to the point that you are calling a retiree from the village, you can tell them, no, just get somebody where there is a cyber, or get somebody who is technological savvy. They help you in applying these benefits, even if it's through your phone or even using an app. So that if you tell Amze to travel all the way, there are areas of Kenya where you will say the NSSF branch is a bit very far.
Yep.
You don't need to punish people to travel all the way for that. So there are those type of challenges, but there is a law that you must, whether it is a private pension scheme or it's NSSF, when a member applies for benefits, you must be able to pay them within 30 days.
Davis, are people being paid within 30 days? Or are those the challenges that you're talking about? Is it actually happening? There's a reason I'm asking this question, because I'm going somewhere with it.
Yes.
Is it happening today with the 200 shillings that you are paying and the 200 shillings that your employer is paying? Those who retired, are they going at the end of every month? Are they receiving their money?
I think. Okay, I do not have exact figures, but I know
ballpark generally.
But I know we have in terms of streamlining. NSSF have also tried to streamline quite a number of things when it comes to. I don't want to speak on their behalf. I don't work with them. I don't work for them, but they have also tried to streamline. There are a few things which you can be able to access online, but I think if they are still do manual processes, I think it's just our time to encourage them also to see what they can do to streamline the processes.
All right. So, because we've come from this premise of people need to be encouraged to save. People need to be encouraged to save for a rainy day. All of this when you retire, to be able to maintain your lifestyle. Now, there's a challenge with the 400 shillings. Now we are saying multiply that by 10. Those who are receiving the 400 shillings calculated on whatever and now are pensioners, there's a challenge. Can you see how it would discourage people now if we're saying now multiply that by 10 and then bring out more money for a system that has challenges? Do you understand where I'm coming from now?
I understand where you're coming from, but that also the good news. I was actually thinking at some point NSSF will also have to be. They will get a lot of competition from private schemes. Remember, you find the tier 1 is only what is mandatory to go to NSSF. The tier 2, which is the larger amount, will be going to private schemes.
Right.
So even in a private scheme, do you come and I pay you within 5 working days? NSSF at some point they will have to get into the pressure that look here, when my money in the other scheme I've been able to access in five working days, and you're 5 working days. What are you telling me?
Sure.
So I think they'll have to be pushed at some point, and market will also have to push them to some point. But everything will be solved when right now if you go to the bank, I don't want to mention the bank I use, but there's a point when you go to the branch, there's a point where you'll come and find no one in the branch. Reason because you can be able to do everything by a click of a button.
You don't even need to go.
You don't even need to go. When is the last time you went to a bank branch to withdraw money? You can be able to go and access that. Even a check deposit you can do through the ATM. What makes pension schemes very different? You know, I've been working with an employer. They know me all that long. Why do you also want me again to come to your office? Why don't you? My employer has written a letter. They can even forward to you an email so that then you process for me the benefit. So that it's all about the processes and the streamlining. Once we do that, it becomes a bit easier even to manage relationships with people who are retiring and who want to access their money. Yes. If you dependent on manual processes, kitaumana.
Should NSSF first have been revamped before you tell people to contribute more? Because if the pushback that you get from very many people is,
it's a mess already.
This pot, I've been contributing for X number of years into this pot, I'm not even sure. From what I hear, those who qualify for retirement benefit, they are not getting the services they should be getting. And now we are going to put more money into this thing. Should they have, first of all, or maybe work concurrently with cleaning their image and their public perception, and then say, see, we're doing the best we can now, bring in so that we can even do better.
I think in all fairness, Eric, there have been a bit of improvements in NSSF. There are so many things that used to happen 100 years in quotes ago.
NSSF is 58 years old. Now, tell me what these things are so that I can understand. These improvements that you speak of, what are they?
They have been working around governance. One of the major issues that members have been complaining a lot is also in the return. When I give you my money and you give me a return of 5%, I'm supposed to ask you what the hell have you been doing with my money? Inflation is at 9%. You have given me a return of 5%. Why did I give you my money in the first case? Yes. I'm subsidizing inflation. Why did I give you my money? You know, normally, if it's in private organizations, you need some caning because I gave you my money, you came back with a loss. So and the challenge they used to have is some investments which they normally never used to do properly initially. But now I am happy. I think at least even when you look at the latest report, I was looking at the reports that are done by Financial Regulatory Sector report. The 80% of the assets are now being managed by outside fund managers who are regulated and who are licensed by the regulators to be able to provide that service compared to you doing that internally.
So they have third parties doing some roles.
Yes. And last year, I think, is it last year or this year? I saw when the Auditor General gave a report, I think they were highlighted in some challenges that are still with the NSSF. But one thing that was a bit giving us hope is that the return at least was close, I think, to 7 or 10%, if I'm not wrong. So there have been improvements, but I wish it will get to a point where even the investment, even the 20% they have remaining with in terms of investment, it is invested by an expert, so that when it comes to asking us hard questions, for example, how do I access my benefits, but am I also, whatever the little amount am I giving you, are you investing it prudently to ensure that I'm getting a market comparable return? Everyone in the market for the last 5 years has been giving 10% on average. Why are you giving me less? Yes.
But you see, the people who should be asking these questions start with the board. The board comprises various interest groups. We know this. So the board comprises the employers are in the board of NSSF. The union, that's the employees, are in the board of the NSSF. The government is here. So you'd expect that at least the whole idea of having these people sitting on the board is to represent the various interests. So those questions of, our union members have been contributing and they're not getting the benefit should be something. Our members, employers have been contributing and their employees are still suffering should be answered.
I think I'll just repeat that in all fairness, I think they have really done a lot of improvements.
They need to communicate better, right?
I think probably they are doing very many good things, but we might not be knowing. So if you look at it, we only know of the bad side.
We only remember
sometimes
of
also
the scandals of 15 years ago.
But these things are not what you call bad things. I mean, if it's reported that it happened, it happened. It's not as though one is going out of their way to give NSSF a bad name. If your function is to ensure that people save with you so that in retirement they can get their money and they retire and they're not able to access that money, how is that a bad thing? It's bad for the person who's expecting their money. But for NSSF, if that's what is happening, then they apart from explaining it, because
fix it.
You're not talking about money that is to be given. It is money that has been given. So why should those who expect the money not get their money in a timely fashion? If you're telling me that right now, people who retired last year are getting their money today, or they've been told you get it after every so often and they get it regularly, then then you would say it is working. Is that the case?
I think I do not have a single case where somebody has completely not been able to access their money.
No, that's not what I asked.
I'm getting there.
Yes.
I think the challenge that you have is how quick do they get that money?
Yeah.
And I think I said it that the best way to address it is that to encourage them to ensure that they make use of technology.
Okay.
We need to get to that point. They do not have that option, so that then they can also be able to compete with other market players when it comes to quick accessibility of funds and convenience for those people who are retiring.
Let's talk about operations of NSSF just for a moment. So maybe it would give rise to some of the understanding of what actually is going on. Because the question is, if I have put money in regularly for the last however many years, the assumption is that the money is sitting pretty somewhere, and that when I come to receive it on a monthly, the way I paid on a monthly, I mean, logic only provides that I would get it, right? Now, perhaps something else happens. After all, it is a fund. What happens from your knowledge of the money that is contributed on a monthly basis? What does NSSF do with this money that perhaps could explain the reasons why, when you come to get it on a regular, it's not readily available? They have to maybe do some internal processes, remove from here, liquidate. What happens with the money that you contribute to NSSF?
Normally, like any retirement benefit scheme, every time that you contribute money to a retirement scheme, the money is invested, does not sit in a bank. The money is invested, they'll go buy equity, they'll buy government bonds, they'll go buy treasury, everything. But there is something that is done. The fund managers do something called asset liability matching. What that means is that they are able to foresee, these are the number of retirees that we expect in the next 5 months, in the next 3 months. So that then you put money in what we call cash and near cash. So that when people who are retiring, they want that money, you do not have to go and sell a bond. Or just start looking for buyers for property for NSSF. You go and liquidate the things that are cash and near cash so that you can be able to meet your liabilities.
Okay.
That has always to be a prudent fund manager has to always ensure that we always have funds, and you can always see from reports that this quarter
we have
is the
X
amount
number
of
of people who are to be paid.
Yes. So and I think and NSSF has access to the data, including our dates of birth and all that.
One would hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you will imagine they can be able to even imagine this, the number of people will be trying this, so you can be able even to calculate and know how much money you'll be able to pay them. So where there will be challenges, and I don't think really it's only NSSF alone, it's that if we do not do proper asset liability matching, then when there are two things: either you are ineffective to the point that when I bring papers on your desk, you sit on them, or you actually don't have the money. If you sit on the papers, then that becomes an issue. Or if it's an issue of asset liability matching, I think that is also a failure on your side. You should have been able to foresee early enough to how much money you need and all that.
But isn't that what we are saying, Dave? It's that the inefficiencies are not challenges. It's not as though I'm trying to get from point A to point B in the car and then I find traffic on the road. That's not the kind of challenge that we're talking about. You are aware of the portfolio. You know the number of people who have contributed. Just like you say, you have the records, isn't it? You know, okay, in the month of January 2023, according to what the portfolio is, we know that X number of people are supposed to be getting X number of, you know this in advance of time.
Correct.
So I choose the suggestion that you've given, that number one, you're either ineffective, or number two, you don't have the money properly. And you didn't plan properly.
Liquidity.
Now, this is the question leading to, coming from what Eric was asking, is that how then, taking these things into consideration, this is what is currently happening. This is not a futuristic thing. It is currently happening. Now we are telling Kenyans, you know what? In this same fund,
put some more
money. And hope and pray that by the time you retire, things will be better. How?
You know, this discussion we're having here, we are having the discussion because NSSF is directly comparable to a problem that never seems to come to an end. If NSSF was doing all these things that you're saying they ought to do, would we even have this discussion? People would be eager to put in money because they know that they would get the return. There would be no problem. And given the history they have, 58 years, the reputation would be this institution gives you your money when you need it and as you agreed with them. So the problem wouldn't be there. In fact, the opportunity to put in more money would be welcomed. But we're having this discussion because that is not the case.
I normally think there are areas of even benchmarking. If you look at the NSSF Uganda, we do a lot of benchmarking with NSSF Uganda. And whereas in Kenya, we are even struggling with the 6%, where are we taking to NSSF in the first case and all that. NSSF Uganda, the percentage is even higher. I think I forgot to pick the exact percentage
of
contributions for Uganda. For NSSF Tanzania, it is even almost 20% in terms of what goes every month to
Every
NSSF.
employee.
Every employee and employer must be able to take that money to NSSF. So when you compare it with the East African region, we are still on the lower end. But I think it's good feedback that we are giving, that we have challenges. One is when we hear that our relatives, when they come to accessing money, they take a bit longer. But secondly, also, the feedback we are giving them, and we encourage them. I don't think really we are criticizing them. We are giving them feedback and telling them that when it comes also to return, please try to check how can you be able to optimize returns, so that, remember, what you will be accessing in retirement is based on the contributions that you actually make plus the income. So the more the income, the better, so that to help these retirees also live comfortable. We have seen in the last 2-3 years, and for all retirement benefit scheme, the property portfolio has not been giving proper return. So if a scheme, and I'm not saying any of the scheme, notably, decides to go and invest in property right now, then they are going to dump members' money and all that. So we must be able to do prudent investments to help our members give a proper return. Otherwise, we will be forcing people to contribute, yet we are not giving them a good return. So at the end of the time, they only have a bare minimum, which beats the sense why we first have that discussion on investment. So I think, for me, I do not think there is a bigger challenge in accessing of benefits from NSSF. The major challenge is actually on them improving on the current return, so that by the time the members access, they really get a good return.
The president has been very big on this issue of NSSF. And one of the things that he has said is, well, even for government, they'd like that people contribute into this scheme, because then the government can also come and borrow internally from the retirement benefit scheme. What do you think of that? Because there are now people who look at it and say, Ruto anataka tuweke pesa hapo ndio aende akachukue pesa hapo.
It's not a bad thing to actually, for schemes, it is a good thing to give government money. The reason it's a good thing to give government money is that government, there are asset classes. When you look at the guidelines provided by the Retirement Benefits Authority, there are guidelines. You can invest your money up to 70% in equity, 90% in government bonds and papers, and then you can do up to 30% in property, 5% in all that. When you give government money, like now they have been giving money at 14%, they are borrowing money at 14% for an infrastructure bond. Mark you, that infrastructure bond, when you borrow at 14%, it is tax-free. So for a scheme, it's actually a good thing since it's an investment where you can actually get 14% return. Comparing to where the market rates are and where the infrastructure is and the interest rates, it is a good thing. But I also want to think this way, that it is also good that we increase how much money that goes into retirement benefit scheme, for the simple reason is that when you go to these other developed countries, they are not going out to borrow money from other countries to be able to do infrastructure development in their local countries. They use money that is available in the retirement benefits pots, so that they can borrow from there locally and do infrastructure. You look at it, for example, the expressway that we always talk about. If you look at the cost and you look at how much money we have in retirement benefit scheme, currently retirement benefit scheme have almost 1.5 trillion of assets. 30% of that can be able to be invested in property. So if you look at that, is almost 400 billion. If you guys, I think the expressway, the figure could have been almost around there. If at some point early that enough, we were able to foresee all that, we don't have to go borrow expensive money, and which is dollar denominated. We can borrow locally, and then but provide a structure in a way that these benefits for members are guaranteed. Mostly what government do is they do not borrow the actual money. They will use maybe through a bond, so that then you subscribe into the bond, and then that bond is used for infrastructure. So it is a good thing that that money is able to circulate and grow our economy. The Mau Summit Road that you're talking about.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. 1 hour is good enough. It's short enough time, but we'll invite you again. Davis Ongiro, a financial services expert. Good morning, 9 a.m.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission has revealed a list of individuals who owe the electoral agency 403 million shillings in accrued legal fees. According to the commission, efforts to recover the monies from individuals who lost election petitions have been futile. In response to audit queries before the Public Accounts Committee for the 2020-2021 annual audit report, IEBC expressed that it has been frustrated in recouping the monies due to a myriad of challenges. IEBC CEO Marjan Hussain told the John Badi-led committee that they have moved to seek legal opinion of the Attorney General Justin Muturi to surmount the challenges, which include long filing of caused by the court. Auditor General Nancy Gathungu has raised queries over 403 million shillings outstanding legal award fee to the Poll Commission, citing laxity from the latter in initiating the process of recovering the monies. The government is now urging the private sector to consider setting up data centers at the Konza Technopolis. Speaking at the Connected Kenya Awards 2023 Stakeholders Conference in Nairobi, ICT Cabinet Secretary Eli Dowalo assured the government's commitment to delivering on the Konza project as part of the digital economy agenda. The ICT CS pointed out that infrastructure has already been set in place to actualize the smart city dream. According to Owalo, the digital platform between the government and the private sector has seen the Connected Forum grow from a small meeting in 2009 to the regional ICT giant it is today. There is need to improve infrastructure at the Nakuru prison to accommodate the swelling number of inmates as the facility strives to secure its lands from grabbers. A task force to look into improving the working conditions of police officers was told that the facilities at the prisons were dilapidated, with houses hosting the officers in deplorable condition. Led by National Police Service Commission John Olemunyaki, the task force heard that the facilities, like others across the country, grappled with the issue of land grabbers, with the team noting the need to title the lands to keep off the grabbers. The government plans to set up a national standing committee on cage fish farming to help strengthen the blue economy sector and cushion farmers against losses. This follows a recommendation by a 17-member task force established by Mining and Blue Economy Cabinet Secretary Salim Vuria in November last year to investigate the cause of massive fish deaths in Lake Victoria. The committee, to be domiciled at the State Department of Blue Economy and Fisheries, will comprise state and non-state actors and will carry out research on effective management of aquaculture and cage fish farming. The High Court has reinstated immediate former Central Rift Valley Waterworks Development Agency CEO Hosea Wendot after about 2 years in the cold. Wendot was ousted at the height of the infamous purge against President William Ruto, then Deputy President. Allies who were holding planned positions in government. Wendot was hounded out of office in March 2021 and his place was taken by General Manager in charge of Technical Services Samuel Oruma in controversial circumstances. Wendot moved to court, challenging his ouster, terming it as unfair, illegal and unconstitutional. He said that the board failed to consider his excellent performance. His first term was coming to an end and the board was expected to sit after evaluating his performance, but soon the boardroom war erupted that claimed 2 directors. Now, the bodies of 2 Kenyan women were Thursday last week discovered inside the back of the food truck by police in Thailand. Catherine Anyango and her daughter Michelle, estimated to be in her 20s, were found dead a day after the kin alerted local authorities that the pair failed to return home from a routine trip to sell samosas in Elsia town a week earlier. Police believe that the mother and daughter passed away owing to carbon monoxide poisoning, since they allegedly decided to seek shelter in the van to protect themselves from the below freezing temperatures of Taco after concluding operations on the day of the incident. The pair's kin has since asked well-wishers to assist them in footing transport costs so that they can send back their bodies of the pair to Kenya for burial. And the United Nations launched an appeal for $1 billion to help victims in Turkey of last week's catastrophic earthquake that killed thousands of people and left millions more in desperate need of aid. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said in a statement that the funds would provide humanitarian relief for 3 months to 5.2 million people. The money would allow aid organizations to rapidly scale up vital support, including in the areas of food security, protection, education, water, and shelter. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aceto. Good morning.
94.4 Spice FM,
On
Nairobi.
the road a little bit here and there. On the Thika Superhighway looking much better now. As you approach now, that Utali Drift is where you see most of it. Coming out of Westlands, it looks okay. Looks like Friday was not too difficult. Fingers crossed that nothing happens here on out. A little bit of movement on the southern bypass from the Likoni interchange out towards Langata Road. So let's keep an eye on that. Might turn up into something, but I don't think too badly. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Let's see what's happening as we get round to 9:30, and then we'll keep you abreast of the details for the rest of the day. Yes, yes.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room,
7 minutes
the
after.
only way to start.
Welcome to the final hour of The Situation Room this week. It's the 17th day of February, 2020 what? 23. And 17 days. How many days left in the month? 11. 11 days to the end of the month.
Yes.
11 days for you to take advantage of the inner Kugive offer by Showmax.
At the very least, 300 shillings, what you're paying for your Showmax package, they said they'll give you another month free. But you heard it here. Another month free for what you spend on your favorite movie series, etc., etc.
Yep.
Because this month, Showmax in a give.
In a give. This is it. So we want to have a conversation now about coffee. Okay?
I like coffee.
You like coffee? Wake up and smell the coffee.
There you go.
Every morning. So for a very long time, coffee and tea were Kenya's biggest foreign exchange earners. That was, of course, overtaken by Kenyans.
Kenyans overtook themselves.
Kenyans overtook the coffee and the tea that they were
events.
growing. They stopped growing the coffee, they went and decided to go and get the dollars themselves and bring them back here because something is happening. So now we have Kenyans in the diaspora as the largest contributor to foreign exchange in the country. And then now we have this crops. So we have floriculture coming in strongly. We've got tea and coffee. We've got tourism. Big. The issue of coffee has been a big one, especially in the coffee growing areas, on how we get our coffee, on how we market our coffee, on how we sell our coffee, on how we access our markets. Farmers have been complaining, we've been doing this coffee business for a long time. How much are we earning from this coffee business that we've been doing? Farmers have been wondering, so can we directly sell coffee outside the country? I remember the last time we had a conversation here with the former deputy governor of Nyeri County, Caroline Karogo, and she was talking about the same thing. This is what farmers and the county government of Nyeri and other county governments in the coffee growing areas are trying to say. How can we ensure that our farmers are actually earning more for their coffee produce? So we want to have that conversation. We are joined in studio by Laban Juguna. He's a founder and CEO of a company called Zabuni Specialty Coffee Auction. It's based in the United States. He's here with us. We want to welcome him with the day's proverb. City.
This is our final proverb from the country of... Which country was it again?
Zambia.
Exactly. Whose capital is?
Lusaka.
Hey, my goodness, 10 out of 10. This morning, class, you are...
Whose president is?
Okay, that's a good one.
That's for you.
CT, come on.
You're asking me the name of the president?
Yeah, teacher.
It's called Hakainde Hachilema. That's the name of the president.
Hakainde Hachilema.
Yes, that's
Okay.
his name. You want to know the name of the vice president? Okay. It's called Mutule Naimango.
Hakainde, Hachilema, and Mutula Naimango.
Yes. You want to know the national languages?
No, I think we're good.
You're good.
Yeah.
What's the national language, actually?
It's called Bemba. Chibemba.
I thought you were going to say it's called Kwacha.
Abana, that's the currency, sister.
So the currency is Kwacha?
Yes.
All right. Proverb?
If you do not have teeth, do not break the clay cooking pot.
If you do not have teeth, do not break the clay cooking pot.
Yes.
Chunga sana.
Specifically, clay cooking pot. It was used for something very specific.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see whether Laban Jugona, our guest, understands this. Laban, good morning, man.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to the hot seat of Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here. We tune in and watch you guys every day. We learn a lot from this show. So kudos. You guys have done fantastic. So even when we're over there, we're tuning in.
Over there?
Yeah.
Where's over there?
I'm in Nebraska, USA. So diaspora, if there's any show I tune in for on radio, it's this one because the diversity, of thought, of guests, it's fantastic.
Karibu sana. And thank you for keeping it locked, even from Nebraska.
Thank you.
This proverb from Zambia, what's your interpretation of it?
Wow. My reading of it is, if something may not be of benefit to you, does not necessarily mean it will not be of benefit to others. So don't go through life just destroying stuff. Can we do better? Can we leave our environment, our country, better for other generations? So just because something may not be of benefit to me does not necessarily mean it's not of benefit to CT or somebody else.
Right. Leban, how long have you been in the USA, in Nebraska, and what have you been doing?
In the USA, I've been there for 22 years. In Nebraska, 11. Like many others, I left here to go to college. The plan was to come back. But somewhere along the way, I fell in love with a girl there and started, that journey. Got married, started having kids, and so the USA became home. Having said that, I'm in Kenya about 4 to 6 times a year. I do come pretty often, of course,
4 to 6 times every year.
Not 46, 4 to 6.
4
yes.
to 6 times.
Yeah, so I'm here rather often.
Yeah.
Of course, I still have family here. My dad's here. I have a brother here. My grandmother. But so it's home. Yeah. So I love the place, but this is the country of my birth. But that's where I live.
Right.
Yeah.
So Zabuni Specialty Coffee Auction. Tell us about it.
So Zabuni Specialty Coffee Auction is the first regularly scheduled specialty coffee auction in the world. I know that's a mouthful. But basically what it is was when we got into coffee about 12 years ago, when I looked at the origin and I looked at the market, things were not making sense. Because here, coffee farmers are some of the poorest people in the world or in this country. But when I look at the market today, there's no time like now that, they pay a really high price for coffee, the consumption of coffee. And this is largely being driven by millennials and Gen Zs. They'll pay $6, $7 a cup for coffee. It's not a fad anymore. They've been keeping this demographic since about 2010, watching what specialty coffee is doing and why these demographics are consuming this coffee. So it's a cool thing, but after 10 years of double-digit growth, this is not something that's going to go away. Their parents were used to drinking, Central and South American coffee, just get your fix. This demographic, this generation, and it's a huge demographic. We're talking a demographic of 120 or close to their million people in the US. It's a huge demographic, therefore it's a huge market. They're about experiences. They're not just about getting the fix. It's about what am I experiencing? And then they're also about ethical sourcing. They're about communities, the social aspects of what happens to where the products they consume come from, and stuff like that. So the reason these guys, or the reason we started Zabuni was because we just felt in the value and supply chain, the coffee farmer has been left behind repeatedly. And so I don't think that's by mistake. I think it's by design.
Oh, let's define specialty coffee.
Yes.
Just to be sure. What is that?
So I'll just keep it simple because there's a
thesis.
Yeah. But basically, specialty coffee is coffee that cups at 80 and above. Coffee has grades. So between 50 and 60 commodities, 60 and 70 or 60 and 65. They're about, is all considered commodity. Then you start getting into premium coffees. Specialty is only 4% of world production, but that's what these young demographics are consuming more than anything.
Sorry, Laban, you say 60 to 70, 60 to 70.
So it's a scale. It's a scale out of 100.
Okay.
If it cups at that, there's something called cupping, which is like maybe a wine tasting, but that's how you determine the quality of coffee.
Right.
Here, they tend to look at the screen size. On the market side, we tend to look at the cup. What does it taste like in the cup? Because that's what the consumers are enjoying.
Experiencing.
Yes. So Kenyan coffee, by and large, is always maybe in that 70 to 80 range where you have premium and premium AA, and then a lot of it is also into the specialty coffee market. The problem is we're not good at defining Kenyan coffee as specialty because we don't understand what it means on the market side. We don't understand that the moment you have that quality of coffee, we're producing it, but the people that come source it will never tell you this is specialty because they'll have to pay you more. But on the market side, the moment it crosses the border, then they'll slap it with all the specialty coffee.
So people who are selling in Kenya are just selling coffee.
They're just selling coffee, not knowing.
The people who are buying are buying
specialty. They know they're buying specialty.
What prohibits that tag then from being placed on Kenyan coffee in Kenya?
To me, I think we haven't really gotten to understand the market, who the consumer is in that market, how to appeal to them, and what it is they're looking for in these coffees.
Because of the way you talk about 120 million people stateside who are very interested in this coffee, and we're talking about consumption here, isn't it? So are you saying that, number one, the research has not been done in Kenya in terms of the demographic and numbers of folks who are consuming coffee within the borders of Kenya? People don't understand the grade that they're looking for. Are people walking into a coffee place, buying coffee off the shelves in their homes to consume it for a fix, like you said the parents of these Gen Zs were doing? Or are they actually consuming a beverage because they, there's an affinity for this beverage?
Yeah.
What are you saying? None of these things have been done and folks are just drinking coffee because it's available?
So not extensively. Only 3% of production of coffee here is consumed locally. 97% is exported. We drink tea here.
Yes.
We don't drink coffee.
A lot.
Yes. So one of the things that, we can do to increase competition, make it better for the farmers, is create awareness here locally. Trends today are global. So when you have Gen Zs and millennials there doing things, it's a matter of time before it'll translate here. Nevertheless, we're still tea drinkers first and foremost. I believe that 3% that is consumed locally is probably the expat community and visitors that come into the country.
Yes.
So the best coffee that is Kenyan, you don't find it here, you find it outside. So I don't think we've done a good job of understanding the market and understanding who that consumer is.
I find that hard to believe, Laban. Because coffee has been grown in this country for how many years? It was introduced by people who understood the market. They've been growing it here. So yes, there are small-scale farmers of coffee, and there are also large-scale farmers of coffee, coffee estates. Those with coffee estates were doing it commercially. One of the things that you'd expect that they would do is understand what their market is and how they market things. So really, I'm finding it difficult to actually believe that 60 plus years of coffee being grown in Kenya and being sold externally, and those that have been in this business have not understood the market.
Actually, Arabica coffee was introduced in this country in 1893.
1893.
Yes, so it's been here for a long time.
Yeah.
It's over a century.
But then, Eric, think about it for a second. Even when we talk about tea, most of what we drink, or what we call tea bags, is tea dust, just so that we understand.
Locally.
Yeah, it's the specialty tea, the PF1, that is actually used for blending other teas. Those who are in the tea trade know this. They will understand it. The rest, and there's something in coffee they call mud, okay? Now that I didn't know until the former deputy governor of Nyeri came and explained this to us. I'm simply saying this, that the point you're making in my mind is an extremely valid one, but I have to add this rejoinder. Are you saying that the knowledge that we have of coffee, let me think of a polite word, is actually useless? Because we grow this coffee, it's meant to benefit us, but it doesn't benefit us as it should because we don't have adequate knowledge. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is we're very good at producing coffee, but they limit our capacity and ability to the borders of this country because then it benefits other people. They come and take it from there. We're good for the labor, but we're not good on the dividends part of it to receive our fair share. So, Siti, your question is profound. It's fantastic. Yes, that's exactly it. If we have it, there are certain forces maybe that are not allowing us to really exploit this information, because if you look at even the Coffee Task Force, they have literally nothing about marketing in the Western. It talks about the origin, it talks about the supply chain here, but doesn't go beyond the borders of Kenya. Why? Because that's what we do. We produce the best coffee in the world, then we wait for somebody to come and get it for us, as opposed to...
So we are not in control of the entire value chain of coffee. We are only here dealing with production. From that point on, marketing into consumption, we have zero control over.
Absolutely zero.
By design.
I believe I can't sit down and say that this is just happenstance. It's been 100 years of producing coffee. We've been selling coffee in Kenya the same way for 85 years. And we've never changed or looked at, is there anything different we can do? They've introduced, they've tweaked things like, bringing in the second window, which was done by President Kibaki, where they allowed certain people to seek buyers directly. So they've done changes here and there, but holistically, they're always trying to do the changes locally, where I believe the changes need to be made are to access that market directly.
Is there a country that you can use for us to benchmark with?
Ethiopia's done a fantastic job of that. What they've done is we had the leading market share and mind share for coffee in the United States of America for a very long time, up until maybe around 2009, 2010, we started seeing those demographics changing. Why? Ethiopia became a little bit more aggressive into accessing the market. The other thing Ethiopia did, Ethiopia doesn't allow foreign companies to come into Ethiopia and deal with the production and part of the primary and secondary processing. They don't allow that. Kenya, we've allowed them to come and do everything. So what happens is now you have Ethiopians not only involved in the production, but in the early parts of the value addition, processes. So basically, foreigners, the big multinational corporations that we know come from Europe, Asia, and Middle East. In Ethiopia, they don't just have free reign, and here I think that has.
How does
hurt us a
the
little bit.
Ethiopian coffee get to the market, to the international market?
So it's, by the way, Ethiopia learned their coffee model from Kenya. This is where they learned it from. They came here and learned how to process coffee, how to all those things they learned from Kenya. Now we're going back there to learn from them. So, it's an odd kind of thing there that has happened. But Ethiopia is very good at having their own people, places like North America, where they go set up their own entities and present this coffee to the buyers themselves there.
With government backing?
Whether it's government or private funds, I don't know. But I know that the Ethiopian government has been very good at helping to market their coffee in the North American market. And it's become very popular. Now it's the most consumed African coffee in the US. It used to be Kenya, but that's gone.
Who's benefiting from these folks having free reign to sell coffee or to brand it as they wish in Kenya?
Who's benefiting? Not the farmer, I can tell you that much. Here's the thing. I'm not against entrepreneurship or business. If there's a way that you can add value to somebody or a process, by all means, please do it. But if the premise of this value is based on exploiting the farmer, which is where I believe we've gone wrong for so long, it's not going to work. So when you were asking the question about coffee estates, the largest producers of coffee today are small-scale coffee farmers, your 2 to 4 acre. Their estates are gone, predominantly, or by and large, they're gone. Real estate, of course, people are feeling very disappointed with coffee. But I think the problem is the information about the market and what is being paid for coffee, Kenyan coffee in the market, I think does not translate or get back to these people to understand that. I see people uprooting coffee, I wonder, are you crazy? Because there's still a lot of money to be made in coffee. And the market is still consuming coffee and paying better for coffee now than they ever have.
But you know what you say seems to point to this mindset that we have, that I run a coffee business and someone else must come and tell me about how I should benefit from my business. Yet we're in the communication age, and if indeed I want to benefit from this business, should I not be the one driving this? Or are we saying that the people in that business do try and they do drive, but there's a certain support that is beyond them, which they should receive to be able to benefit as much as they could, and they do not receive that support? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, but take, for example, Germany is considered one of the largest exporters of coffee in the world. They don't produce one coffee bush. So how is that? Yet here we produce probably one of the most unique coffees, if not the most unique coffee in the world. And yet we're ceding. It's like giving away our birthright to those guys. For nothing, literally nothing, just here. And what CT is saying is absolutely accurate. In today's day and age, granted, the average age of a coffee farmer in Kenya is somewhere between 65 and 67. I don't think they're going to be on YouTube and and Googling stuff. But their heirs are. And in today's day and age, if you want to understand something, the information is out there. However, because of the nature or the way our smallholder farms and the way coffee is produced in Kenya, for these farmers to be able to access the market, government has to play a role. We don't need to be making the kind of interventions we're making at the origin. We already know how to grow coffee. We have been doing it for 100 years now. We have that knowledge. People need help with inputs, things like that. But now we need to move this thing to the next level. We do it with flowers. We access the market directly. We take our flowers from here and take them to Europe, to the Holland auction, and that's where the buyers come and get the coffee. So we need to cast this wider net. Your largest buyers of coffee in the US are not people who are going to afford to buy a container. which is around $100,000, there are people who are going to be able to afford a pallet of Kenyan coffee. But repeatedly, they'll come back. And that, when you're casting a wider net, that's a better benefit to the farmers and the origin, because there'll be competition for your product. So we are not doing that. And I just think it's high time that it happened, that we start accessing the market directly.
Let's take a break. It's 9:30. This is The Situation Room. Laban Jagona is founder and CEO of Zaboni Specialty Coffee Auction, based in Nebraska, USA. He's here today to tell us why coffee farmers should be allowed direct access to the market. He'll explain what he means by that shortly. First, let's take a look at the weather and traffic. Showmax.com. If you haven't gone there, you only have about 11 days to take advantage of this offer. In a give, you pay 1 month subscription, you get the extra month free. Sign up today on showmax.com.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Celebrate the month of love with Coldstone Creamery. Enjoy the perfect date spot at Coldstone and get 2 slices of delicious ice cream cake at only 800 shillings. Surprise a loved one with a Coldstone Valentine's cake and treat them to a chocolate cake layered with strawberry ice cream, wrapped in pink frosting and finished with cascading ganache for only 2,500 shillings. Coldstone Creamery, making your Valentine's even sweeter.
Get 2 months of Showmax for the price of 1 in a give. In a give, Real Housewives, rich auntie vibes, and that bling. Samakua Mocha.
Toast to luxury.
In a give, single Cassie, girl power.
Cheers!
And gravity-defying Top Gun victory flyby.
Having any fun yet?
Woo! In a give kupindukia. So subscribe now to get 2 months for the price of 1 from only 300 shillings for limited time. In a give Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse.
You don't do that. I hope you don't believe that hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who is a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence, you can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes.
And if you walk that midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The situation.
Partly cloudy conditions in Nairobi, highs of 28 and lows of 15. We'll see highs of 13 in Nakuru, where it's sunny at 21, 18 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 27, and 27 will be the high in a sunny Eldoret at 20, 27 and sunny in Mombasa, highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 31 in Malindi, where it's sunny at 28, 27 and sunny in Kisumu, highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 32 as well in Kakamega. Out into Kampala, it's sunny at 23, highs of 29, and Dar es Salaam will see highs of 32 through Friday. It's mostly cloudy at 18 in Johannesburg, highs of 20, and we'll see highs of 35 in a hazy Lagos, 24 and sunny in Kinshasa, highs of 32. Looking out into Beijing, it's raining at 6, highs of 7 and lows of -2. And we're looking at partly cloudy conditions at 11 in Paris. It'll go to highs of 16 in London, highs of 16 in New York as well, where it's cloudy at 12.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever.
All right, looking at not much of a traffic problem today, actually, has looked much better over the hour. A little bit of traffic left on Jogo Road and not really nothing on the Thika Superhighway. So today, where is everybody? There's no traffic. We're done. We're good. Could be like this on Monday would be great. All right, through the morning talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Business news with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. Kenyan digital revenue partner Hotel Online has partnered with MTI Investments to launch a sustainable booking portal in Zanzibar. The portal will link sustainable tourism with sustainable waste management. Joining Sustainable Zanzibar will provide hotels with increased visibility, recognition for their sustainable practices, and access to a large network of booking agents and travelers interested in sustainable tourism. Safaricom held its inaugural Investors Day to update stakeholders on its journey to become a purpose-led technology company. By 2025, dubbed Driving Purpose-Led Growth, it brought together the investor community, analyst and regulatory bodies, including representation from the Nairobi Securities Exchange and the Capital Markets Authority. Crown Paints has partnered with Jambojet to boost education and environmental sustainability. The two corporates have partnered to provide a facility to Kibos School for the Blind in Kisumu. It hosts over 200 students, the majority of whom are visually impaired. Jambojet has been supporting the school since 2020. The partnership with Crown Paints will ensure the school structures are repainted and in good condition. The Wholesome Foundation, a global non-profit independent arm of the Wholesome Group, has launched a 124.9 million shillings for the 11th edition of the Wholesome Awards competition. The Wholesome Award is a global competition for sustainable design and recognizes and promotes building initiatives that combine environmentally friendly designs and construction with architectural excellence. Development Bank of Kenya is looking for a principal officer with a degree in commerce, procurement and supplies management with at least 8 years of relevant work experience in the public or private sector. Suitable candidates are required to send their CVs and cover letter by the 28th of February 2023. Visit jobs.digga.co.ke for more information on these and other jobs. Digga Jobs, your credible and trusted jobs partner.
SpiceFM Business. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
The CEO of Zabuni Specialty Coffee Auction in the USA. He's here to talk about farmers accessing the markets directly. Take us through that chain. From the moment farmer picks their coffee.
Yes. So from the moment...
Currently, what happens, right?
So basically what happens is when the farmer picks their coffee, for most farmers, they'll take it to their local wet mill, their local cooperative. And then at that stage, the primary processing is done. Usually, these farmers are in cooperative societies, and then they'll process. Because of economies of scale, their production is so small, so they'll process together. More often than not, farmers produce fantastic coffee. The ground and the environment does its thing, right? Where things start going wrong is in the processing. So having a processing manager that knows what they're doing is really key. Because you can't improve quality by processing, but you can definitely mess it up. So once the farmer delivers their coffee, picks their coffee and delivers it to their local wet mill, then the processing method begins, whatever that method is for them. For some people, it might be a washed. For people now, in other parts of the world, but in Kenya, we're a little bit of a one-trick pony, where all our coffees are usually done through the washed process, which means the coffee cherry is taken off of the bean or the pod, and then that goes through different fermentation processes, and then the mucilage off of that is washed off in this washing channels. Other people now get that cherry and then they just put it on African raised drying beds, and then they gradually turn that, and as the coffee dries, the cherry dries with it, and so all that flavor and sugar is absorbed into the bean. And that's what we call the natural process. The other processes, now there's anaerobic, pretty much the way they do coffee, or here they call it carbonic maceration. So all these different ways of processing coffee, but Kenya, it's washed, which is very good and is very consistent. So once the farmer does that, then the cooperative is going to engage with a marketer, and the marketer will come and get the coffee, or the cooperative will deliver the coffee to the marketer in parchment form. The marketer from there has the responsibility of, there's the secondary, after the primary processing, there's the secondary mill. That's who is going to take the coffee, take the husks off, polish it, bag it, and then the marketer is going to take over from there. The marketer now takes that coffee. Their responsibility is to market. Their responsibility is to find buyers for this product at the best price possible.
Does the marketer, so from the mill, what comes out of the mill?
The parchment. Coffee in parchment form. I wish I brought
Is it
example.
graded in any way?
At that point, not yet.
Not yet.
Once the husks are taken off, the dry husks, that's when the grading happens, and that's usually done by the miller, the secondary miller.
Okay.
Now, most cooperatives don't
own mills.
They can't afford them. They're too expensive. So the people that own these mills are predominantly
the estates
and very well-to-do people that saw an opportunity and invested in that area.
Okay.
Or the multinational corporations that are vertically integrated in the supply chain that have the resources to come in and make those kinds of investments.
Okay.
But from that point, after them, I don't want to get into the details because a lot of these people also double deep. The dealer is also a marketer. The dealer is also, a miller. The dealer is also an exporter. The dealer is the same person, different names.
Okay.
So
let's just go with position in the value chain.
Yes.
So you've got the big miller, who will then now come and start categorizing it.
So now
then they hand it over now to the marketer.
Yes.
Okay.
So the marketer will present those coffees to the auction or through the second window to a buyer. Basically, the second window means that it doesn't go to the Nairobi coffee auction. This is just a direct deal. You've liked the coffee. I've told you what I have. You've agreed on a price, pay, go.
Okay.
The auction is supposed to be open to everybody who is licensed to access that auction. But it's a very limited number of people
who are licensed
by the government of Kenya to be at that auction, either to buy product. And I think that's part of the problem here. Is
what's the qualification to be licensed?
Well, there's a process. There's a vetting process, and then you got to pay the fee. Before, I think there was a time you had to be a marketer. I think you had to have a bond of about $1 billion. So there was only, I think, 6 or something licensed marketers in this country dealing with all of Kenyan coffee. I think now it's 100 million. Still, there's not a lot of people who have 100 million sitting somewhere, to
place as a bond.
Yes. So they're still very limited. The marketers are still very limited. I don't think there are more than 20 in this country. Dealers are a little bit more, and I think the standard of becoming a dealer is a little bit lower. But nevertheless, they're still limited. To me, when I look at an auction, I'm thinking of an eBay. Anybody should be able to come. Whoever offers the most should get the product. It should not be limited to a few people, but that's how it's controlled. Kuna wenyewe at the auction system, and so it serves a few, and still at the expense of the farmer, because at the end of the day, that product belongs to the farmer. But the farmer releases that product to the marketer, and after that, the marketer is the one who pretty much has determination of what's going to happen to that product. And part of this process, or what we're saying, is I don't think the farmer should ever give up control of that product until it is bought. Whether it is being bought at the Nairobi auction, whether it is being bought in the West, the farmer should always be consulted and told what they are being paid.
Is the marketer acting as an agent of the farmer, or has the marketer purchased the produce off the farmer?
No, the marketer hasn't purchased. They're working as an agent. The marketer is a god.
So they basically should be answerable to the farmer.
They should be answerable to the farmer,
but
not necessarily, because, first of all, the farmer you're dealing with doesn't understand how the value and supply chain, how things work after the meal, after they deliver their coffee, their cherry,
to the local
mill. From there, they have no understanding. For example, my grandmother is 108 years old. She's been growing coffee all her life. She's still a coffee farmer to this day. I mean,
so is it?
What does she know beyond her village?
Aren't we going back to that preferred idea then? That it seems to me, that it's been designed this way. Because if the farmer were to know, like the situation that you're giving in Ethiopia, for example, or even look at what farmers in Brazil, other countries around the world, if they were to know the cost after they present products to the mill, chances are that they would hold on to their product a little bit longer to be able to get the best rates for the value. So it is possible that it has been designed this way, because if you are ignorant of something, chances of you pushing for a particular thing then are much less.
Yes, if you're educated or something on something, or you're aware of something, then you'll know what interventions to make where. But the farmer has been deliberately kept in the dark, because knowledge is power. But that's what we're saying is this value and supply chain needs to be opened up for that farmer to see exactly who makes what where on that value chain. But at the end of the day, the farmer to me is the owner of the coffee, and so they should always be, their advice, their feelings, their thoughts, they should always be, we should be talking to them at every stage of this process. They should be the God. Yes, but it's not the case right now. The marketer will come and take the coffee, and someday a check will show up, or some money, and that's what it is. You have no say. It doesn't matter what it costs you to grow that product. But the truth of the matter is, it should not be that way. It can be different.
What would happen? Let's step into the ideal or a different, universe for a minute. What will happen if we're looking at the Kenyan situation and the farmer is empowered, the farmer is aware, and the farmer is making a little bit of money? What would happen across, along this chain? Marketer, miller, etc., export. What would happen?
So it's already happening. Basically, what's happening right now is that what is being paid is not coming back to the farmer. On the market side, they're paying good money for Kenyan coffee. It's just not coming back because of the number of people in this value and supply chain dipping their hands in that cookie jar.
Yeah. I want you to paint a picture of what would happen if it was.
So, number one, to me, there would be a major difference in these communities. Their families, their economic and social welfare will be better. Don't forget about, the foreign currency that would be coming back to this country. Today, the people who come and buy, when they do the value addition and do whatever there, the money stays there. But if we were selling our product there, if we were exporting, then money would be coming back this way. But it's other people who are coming and exporting it for themselves. I know it may seem a little bit unfair. I'm an eternal capitalist, but every country does this. Everybody protects one way or another their producers, or exactly. We're not trying to be unfair, but we're also saying that some things need to change. Now, here's the thing that for me I'm really advocating for, is that the farmer should be given the choice. Should they sell their coffee here, or should they sell it directly in the market? Now, this farmer cannot afford to get their product to the market. The costs. And that's where I see a role for government coming in, especially if now we have, the deputy president in charge of coffee, and trying to find a way of making sure that farmers, I don't want to use the word guaranteed, but the farmers do get a living wage, or they're able to earn a living wage from it. Exactly. Then it's never going to happen if they do not access the market directly. We'll be back here 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It'll never happen.
Levin, you've just told us about, the case of your grandmother, and very many of our grandmothers and elderly parents who are still in the coffee business. They don't understand anything beyond picking coffee, taking it to the nearest mill. They don't understand anything more. Now you're telling that this person to access the market directly.
Yes.
With a limited knowledge. Aren't you opening the door for bigger vultures?
That's where government comes in. There has to be policy, there has to be framework that protects my 108-year-old grandmother. Now, we already have a very organized structure. it has very poor leadership and governance, but the structures are there. The other thing is, if government really wanted to make a difference in coffee, the infrastructure is there. Coffee, it would not require huge investments. The investments would need to be made in the marketing or the branding of the product. But locally, we have billions in assets and infrastructure here that can be switched on tomorrow, and it's good to go.
But you're depending on government goodwill. The same government that's in control of the auction process. The same government that has controlled the number of people who act as marketers, who act as, what are we calling them, agents in the auction?
Dealers.
The dealers in the auction. This is a government, instead of saying, open up so that we have more dealers in the auction, open up so that you have more marketers in the auction, and the government has been knowing this and has been controlling it. You're saying, open up so that the government, you can now focus on auction and at the same time focus on open market. This government will not do it.
What I'm saying is, this government, and especially this administration, that was one of their big promises. So if they need a solution, this is the solution. It's directly accessing the market. But it will still be good for Kenya holistically because of the forex that it earns. It will help the farmer because the farmer will sell their coffee better. Why? They have a bigger market. They have a bigger pool and
bargaining power.
And bargaining power. Here's the difference. It costs about $25, maybe $25 to $30 at the most, to ship a bag of Kenyan coffee, 60 kg, to North America. That's even on the higher side, right? So, for example, right now coffee maybe is doing a little bit better because Brazil production has been down due to the frost. It is not any government intervention. Let me say that clearly. Why farmers are experiencing better prices for the last 2 years is not because government has done anything positive.
It's God.
It's because Brazil went down. But they're going to be back up. Within the next year or so, their production is going to come up. And what's going to happen to our prices again?
Dip.
Yes. So if they want a sustainable solution, whether Brazil goes up or down, that they always have good prices, they'll have to become exporters. Now, why I'm saying it costs about $25, what I'm trying to explain here is, at the auction here, your average price of a bag of AA is maybe between $250 and $350. When they take that bag of coffee, they add no value, just ship it. They just pay that $20 to get the bag to the North American. Immediately, they average about $600, $700. So why are we leaving that money on the table? Who are we leaving it for? I would make the investment of $25 and make the upside. But we've never been in that space. The Ethiopians now have started learning to be in that space and make sure their product gets to market and they sell it there.
You know what I find interesting? I'm listening to what you're saying and I'm thinking of a competing crop called tea. Okay? Where is the world's largest coffee auction? I know it's not in Kenya, that's for sure.
The world's largest
coffee auction, where is it?
I have no idea because many countries do not sell their coffee via auction.
Yes. Estates do that. People who produce coffee auction their own coffee. Now, we have a situation in this country where we competed favorably with Sri Lanka as the world's tea auction headquarters. Okay? Now, 2020, the government then banned direct sales of tea to the world market. Direct, meaning I have a factory, I have tea, I can't sell directly. It has to go through the auctions, right? Right now, we're talking about a glut. Tea at the auctions that cannot actually move because the private sales that would be an offload of some of the coffee isn't there. I mean tea, sorry, not coffee. Now, the tea sector for the longest time hasn't been turbulent. I mean, farmers make money. Sometimes we have a little drought, there's a bit of a problem, but there's arguably some stability because people hear of bonuses, people hear of this. Now, one doesn't hear much about the coffee industry. And it's under the same Ministry of Agriculture. How is it that the tea farmers and those who work in the tea sector have been able to make some progress, and that progress somehow seems to be absent in the tea sector? I mean, in the tea sector they've made progress, in the coffee sector.
No.
Yes. Why?
It's by design.
State capture.
To me, it benefits a few at the expense of the many, and that is protected. But I'm still saying here that these two tracks can run concurrently. The farmer needs to be given the choice. Do you want your coffee to go to the auction, or do you want your coffee to go to the market and be sold there globally directly?
Okay.
And that intervention is what I'm saying. It'll cost government little to nothing because it's already being done. The systems and structures are in place. But it will never happen if we keep insisting that coffee, by and large, has to be sold over here. So the future of coffee in this country, its uniqueness, there's something called the revealed comparative advantage, products that countries export. The highest revealed comparative advantage of any product in Kenya is coffee, which means that in the mind of consumers in the West, that is the one product that they can relate or identify Kenya with. There's a country called Costa Rica that has done a fantastic job with a product they produce called the Chiquita bananas. The Chiquita banana, it's the most popular fruit in the US. If Costa Rica wants to start anything, if they want to sell tea, they first bring you their banana. This is the quality of product that we produce. If they want to, sell avocados, they first bring you their banana. Why? Because the highest revealed comparative advantage is their bananas. So Costa Rica actually does better with coffee than we do, yet we produce a far higher quality of coffee than Costa Rica does because they've learned how to market and how to communicate to the consumer there.
If they want to perform at the Super Bowl halftime, they first bring you the banana.
That's right.
When the Kibaki administration opened this secondary window, what was that? And so why wasn't that fully open to what you're talking about?
So the second window is basically another option. For a long time, the second window wasn't there, and farmers really fought, we want to sell. They were given the second window. That's what, that's what government envisaged as a way. But the people who are in the value and supply chain, the traders, know very well that farmer can't go and market the coffee in the West. That farmer can't, they know that. So it's helped, but it's by and large, I can say it's been ineffective because now we can look and see that the farmers are not doing. My barometer is always, is the farmer doing better? If the farmer is not doing better, then whatever initiative you've come up with is useless.
It's a flop. 30 seconds, Leban. Pass a message to the government. So the Deputy President is now in charge of this coffee business. Speak to him.
If I was sitting in front, I would tell him I see his passion. I see that he does want to make a difference. But I also see that there's some information and knowledge that has not gotten to him. And I think that needs to be put in front of them. We have all the data, we have all the numbers, and we can show them exactly what it means to access the market directly and to make sure that farmer gets a guaranteed minimum return. We know in the West we don't like saying that. It scares a lot of people. But basically what we're just saying is we're guaranteeing that farmers are going to do well and earn a living wage.
Okay. Laban, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Laban Jagona is the founder and CEO of Zabuni Specialty Coffee Auction based in the USA. He's been here campaigning and pushing for Kenyan coffee farmers to access the market directly so they can earn more, earn better, and also market Kenyan coffee and package it better. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation this week. Have a lovely weekend. We'll be back on Monday, God willing. It's now 10 a.m.
Spice up your life.
The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is Newsroom. I'm Dennis Aseto. The chairman of Luo Council of Elders, Kair Willis Opio, is dead. Opio died at a hospital in Kisumu while undergoing treatment. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, upon learning of his death, mourned the late Opio, describing him as a distinguished member of society who will be greatly missed. Now, the government wants cases involving mothers with children in remand custody fast-tracked if the alleged offences fell under the petty of crimes category to protect the interest of the innocent children. Principal Secretary, State Department for Correctional Services, Mary Muthoni Muriuki, said it was sad that such innocent children found themselves locked up in prison facilities along with their mothers for a prolonged period, yet they were not at fault. She expressed fears that the children found themselves mixed up with adults of all manners of characters and get exposed to all kinds of mannerisms simply because their mothers were on the wrong side of the law. And a day after the release of Kisii County staff audit report by the Institute of Human Resource Management, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission says the lost public funds in Kisii must be recovered. In a statement, the anti-graft body said it will institute proceedings to recover any salaries earned on the basis of forged academic certificates, saying they amount to fraudulent acquisition of public property. EACC also pointed out that the report comes as they are finalizing a probe on corrupt individuals in the county who are accused of county coffers dry through their corrupt dealings. Now, remember the dancing chief? Well, he has ensured that over 150 street children in Kisumu receive national identification cards following a successful campaign. Northern Location Assistant Chief John Migun, popularly known as the Dancing Chief, after his videos went viral on social media, capitalized on the euphoria to reach out to the street children aged 18 and above to secure the vital document. The street youth, he said, will be vetted to ensure that they indeed qualify to be issued with the identification cards as required by the law. And South Africa's Deputy President David Mabuza is to step down ahead of an expected cabinet reshuffle. Addressing Parliament in Cape Town, Ramaphosa said Mabuza has indicated his wish to step down from his position. The move had been long expected, and Mabuza had said earlier this month that his brother's funeral that he had tendered his resignation. Paul Mashatile, ruling African National Congress former treasurer, is widely expected to take over from him. Ramaphosa, who won the second time at the helm of the ANC in December, is expected to announce changes to his government team after the publication of the annual budget next week. And a U.S. strike in Somalia killed 5 Al-Shabaab fighters, as U.S. Africa Command says this. The strike was carried out at the request of Somali government and was a collective self-defense strike, according to AFRICOM. The strike was carried out approximately 300 miles north of the Somali capital, Mogadishu. No civilians were injured or killed. AFRICOM said that this was done in a remote location in Somalia. The latest strike marks the second time in a week that the U.S. has targeted Al-Shabaab forces in Somalia. Friday, the U.S. carried out a strike that killed 12 Al-Shabaab fighters northeast of Mogadishu. Now, a woman in Norristown, Pennsylvania, was arrested after her 6-year-old son brought a gun to his elementary school. Jasmine Delvin turned herself in and has been arraigned on charges of felony, endangering the welfare of a child, and reckless endangerment for failing to secure a firearm in her home. This is according to the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. It is unclear if Devlin currently has an attorney, but police were alerted to the gun at Joseph K. Godwall's Elementary School on February 9th after a group of students on a school bus with the 6-year-old that morning told the school secretary he showed them the weapon and bullets. And French food company Lactalis has said that it has been charged over a 5-year-old global scandal in which dozens of babies fell sick from salmonella-contaminated powdered formula milk. Prosecutors brought the criminal charges, also targeting the company for serious fraud, involuntary bodily harm, and a failure to carry out a recall order for the tainted milk. Lactalis, one of the world's biggest dairy groups, said it was cooperating with investigations. And finally, Portuguese soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo was reimbursed over $300,000 for legal fees he spent while defending himself in a federal civil case alleging he had raped a woman in Las Vegas hotel room in 2009. The case was dismissed in June after the judge found that the plaintiff's lawyer engaged in misconduct so severe that it would be impossible for Ronaldo to have a fair trial. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Malindi. The 90s have never sounded so good. Spice. Breathing life into the 90s.
We play the best music.
More of the classics and the hits you love. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.